Hello, and welcome to Help I Need an Adult. We're here at Fogwater Studios, and we're your hosts, Matt
And Megan.
and Mixmaster Chef as well. Uh, we have a great guest for you today, and his name is Jared Harridan.
And here I am.
And he's awesome and a great person, and we had some fun stories and good times, and we really hope you guys enjoy it because we did. And yeah, Megan, take it away.
You guys can find us on Instagram and Facebook and YouTube and all other social media. And we're also going to include some links in our description of some of the stuff we talked about today. Thanks.
Hey, and remember, check us out on all those links that she's talking about. You better do it, please, or not else.
And check out
not.
Jared on some of those links.
Yeah, and we'll have them down in the thing below.
The description.
Description, that's it. And so remember, www.foggerwaterstudios.com. We love you guys. Yeah. I didn't know your mom played guitar.
Dude, self-taught. She can't read sheet music, but she can play.
Really?
Yeah, she's...
Now
My
I know
mom-
why when you tell those stories, your mom's always the crazy one. Like, like your dad's like, Cindy, what are you doing? And Cindy,
Sandy.
yeah, she's
Sandy.
she's-
Nah, he don't say it like that. He was just like, Cindy, what are you doing?
yeah, like
Stop misbehaving.
like she's the rebel of your family,
Oh, well, she
well,
is that.
you are kind of too, but
But what, dude? When we were...
I get, yeah, Landon's not really a rebel. I mean, he kind of is a rebel.
No. Landon is
he?
the rebel.
Yeah, is he? Is he the rebel?
I'm the one that's not.
So you're the goody good,
Yeah.
and he's the rebel.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
He
Oh,
puts on
yeah.
a good front. Although I do see it
Well,
peek
he's
through.
married
I
now.
do see it peek
It's all
through
toned down.
sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
I'll see it peek through. He'll just like have a glint in his eye, and I'm like,
Get a little alcohol
"You
in
thinking
him.
some crazy shit, man?"
I will say this. My brother can tear up a rug. I ain't never seen a white boy dance like that. he can groove, man. He
I can imagine it.
I didn't get it at all.
No,
I'm just like over there, just like,
I don't think I did either. But I just try really hard. You know how those people who they try, and you feel bad for them because they're trying so hard,
yeah,
and so you're like, "Yeah, man, that was something."
yeah.
And you're like, but you tried really hard.
I don't know. I just felt like I was always looking out for Landon in a way, but he was always just he had no fear. Like he would do some crazy stuff.
Some of the stuff that you guys told me you did on your dad's property, yeah, I can.
There's no
remember-
telling.
Well, was it you or it was Landon? He was talking. We went to eat at that some pizza place up in Ball Ground,
Uncle Peppers.
Uncle Peppers.
Yeah.
And he was talking about. I hope it's okay if I talk about this. He's talking
I
about
have no-
cars. You guys were driving some cars that were like y'all got them really cheap or from a junkyard or something.
Oh yeah, like I
And he
don't
was
have
like,
it. I was gonna say we don't have anything that I'm like ashamed of. Like
yeah.
there's some
He
things
was just
like
telling
it
me
may
some of the
just
things
not be
like, and you were doing too.
yeah.
Like into a
So-
tree and like off of like a small cliff or something.
So the first time that we did it, our neighbor, I don't know if he was messed up, like on drugs or drunk or what,
Yeah.
but on his straightaway, he rolled over a Ford Explorer and
Jesus.
was gonna repair it in some way. So he cut the entire front half of the cab off of a Ford Explorer.
That's what it was. Yeah.
And it was
Because he said it was like a convertible.
it was a convertible Ford Explorer, and we just did a bunch of redneck stuff, man. Like
Because he said, yeah, you or him were driving, and one of y'all was like, "Woo!" like standing up in the Ford Explorer or something like that.
well, we had two of them. The
Oh,
first time
wow.
we were just filming ourselves like jumping this thing. Landon detonated the airbag, which was great.
Was somebody
Just-
sitting on it?
No. That would have been insane, though. Have you seen the video of that guy who's like drunk, sits down on it,
And he just like
launches him into the
boom,
ceiling?
like right. It's like God.
So
bless
we
America.
have somewhere on YouTube. It's on my YouTube channel, but I mean, it's like it's old.
Of
But
you
it's
guys.
landing, detonating, just driving that and detonating the airbag.
Man.
But the second one we had, I think Landon paid like $100 for it or something. Only had reverse, maybe third gear, something like that.
Yeah.
So what he's talking about is my buddy Tanner was driving, and I was sitting in the front seat, and Tanner just threw it in reverse and stomped the gas. We were just going to ramp it off this little terrace into the woods, which was just thick with trees, pine trees of all different ages and thicknesses, and
All sorts.
yeah. So I turned around. I panicked and leaned up and turned around to look backwards to see if we're about to hit yet. Why I did that? It was just like this stupid reaction. So
You're
I
like, hey, are
leaned-
we at the woods yet?
we launched off the cliff, landed on top of a sapling, but full force just right into a big pine tree, just busted the whole back out. But I got such bad whiplash, it just snapped me into the.
Bro, you are so lucky.
Yeah, I mean, I did some. Like I said, we never did
Oh,
anything that I was
man.
ashamed of, but
Yeah.
like stupid stuff. Everybody does it. That was just one of many times. But we ended up. It took a tractor and 2 other trucks to pull that Explorer off of that sapling because it was just stuck right on top of it.
He also said something about you guys had barrels and you were blowing fireballs into the air.
Okay, so
And your dad came out and was like, what the hell are y'all doing?
so I can probably tell a slightly fabricated version of this story.
Yeah, I mean, use fake names.
No, it's we won't give away locations. I'm not sure. I don't guess it really matters because it's so long ago.
I hope,
But we-
I hope I did.
There was a hand dug well behind the house.
That's it.
There
That
was
was
a hand
it.
dug well, and I'm like really in a way ashamed of us what we did, but it is awesome at the same time.
When I
So,
heard it, I was like, "That's
We turned the
magnificent."
hand dug well into a cannon.
Yeah.
And when I say we, it's like my brother and some of his friends had gotten like,
It's like an earth cannon.
yeah, there was like diesel and some oil and stuff like that got poured down, and because it was dried out at the bottom.
Yep.
And poured down in there. And so all the fumes coming off that is just building in this tight space. And this is a very deep well to be hand dug. I'm guessing 40, 50 foot.
Holy
I guess.
moly,
I think that
dude.
would be accurate.
That's a deep earth cannon.
Yeah. So what they would do is pour that in there and let it sit for a minute for the gas and fumes to build up. And they would cap it with a 50-gallon drum.
Oh my!
And it was
gosh.
usually like either a trash can or actual like metal barrel. The time that this happened was like a plastic, like
Yeah.
one of those heavy plastic trash cans.
right.
And he just left it sitting on top of it. And we waited, I don't know, 10, 15 minutes. And Landon lit a diesel rag and threw down there. And a few seconds went by. And I remember looking down it and then getting back because I was like, nothing happened. About that time, you just feel a boom. And that's where it lit at the bottom, but you could feel it through the ground. Just a boom. Whoop. And it was for a split second be silent, and then that can would launch.
Oh my god!
And if it launched 150 feet in the air, I feel like that wouldn't be saying it went high enough.
That's
It flew so
nuts.
far in the air. I know there was a tree right next to the house. It was very old, very tall, and it would easily clear the top of that tree. And I would say that tree is 100 foot tall easily. And I mean, it would just be such an explosion. And then, yeah, the phone call from mom and dad just, what are y'all doing up there? We heard that explosion down here. But yeah,
Oh,
I'm
man.
not
Okay.
super proud of that
It's all
because
right.
of
It's all
but
right.
the explosion. I landed
Yeah,
like that.
dude.
I don't know what made them decide to do that, but that was so awesome.
He told me that story, and I was like, "Man, that is the most nuttiest thing I've never done something that crazy ever."
We've done.
It
a
made me
whole
kind of
bunch
look up to
stuff.
him a little bit as a, like my
Hey.
younger self would have been like, "I wish I would hang out with you, man."
Landon's a wild man, dude. I'll never forget driving down 515 and him and a couple of his buddies passed me on a 4-wheeler. I'll never forget it. He'll probably just be like, "Don't tell people I did that stuff." But the thing is, like, everybody knows. I mean, like, when I say everybody know, the police at the time knew.
yeah, they were just like,
Like, I'll never forget.
"Oh, Landon."
It wasn't old Landon. It was just like,
dude.
we never catch you in the act, but go home.
Yeah,
It's always after the fact.
like,
It's
you
like,
need to go home right now.
yeah, they were always mad at him. One of the funniest ones is an ice storm. I guess 2010.
Yeah,
And the police came out to chase my brother and his friends because they were just doing donuts and Highway 5 and all through Ball Ground, just like what everybody would do. And they went to come out, and one of the cops slid off an embankment. And if his car went any further, I mean, it was like a real far down embankment.
Yeah, he got hung up on it.
Yeah, he got stuck. And Landon and them, who he had been chasing, come up. And they're just like, "We see you're in trouble there." He's like, "Yes, I am." They're like, "Well, we'll get you out." And he's just like, "Thank you."
He's just like, "God, I can't believe I'm having to accept help from these hoodlums."
So, no, it was weird. I feel like the police, in a way, like they really liked my brother as much as they got annoyed by him.
Well, you guys were like good old boys, but you were like, you're like the Dukes brothers.
In a way,
like a real
without
life,
the shine,
but without the shine and the the Dodge.
Yeah, and sheriff.
So the Dodge, you just had four-wheelers and abandoned Ford Explorers, convertible Ford Explorers,
and the chief of Ball Ground was Boss Hog.
Yeah, exactly. Oh my gosh. Okay.
Yeah, I don't even know what happened to that guy, but that guy he was always on our case. Landon got pulled over one time because he had the front. He had now imagine this. A stock F-250.
Yeah.
On the back. But on the front is a 13-inch lift with 44s. So to translate that, I lived on a road that had like the hill to go down was probably 25 degree incline. It was really steep.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, I'll say this. When we went down the hill, it felt like we're on an escalator. Because when you're sitting in the truck, you're just looking straight out. He drove it to work one day. So you're just looking straight up at the sky, and then we go down the hill, and it was like being in an escalator.
How did he even drive it, dude?
He was hanging out the side.
Oh my God.
So he was nuts, man. When we lived together for a while, I had a house we called the 2. There was the 1, the 2, and the 3, and the 2 was like party central.
These are like houses that you lived in.
1 and 2 were. 3 was just this spot down by a river.
It was like y'all special.
It's like Sunday party fun spot. Day. Yeah. Just go get.
It was the party liquor spot.
It was. Everybody would ride their 4-wheelers, anything like that down there to the bottoms.
Party liquor. Sorry,
it was good times. But we always got wild at that house. I mean, not like again, nothing I'm ashamed of, but it was just something all the time.
Yeah, just
hell raising. It was a good youth. That was my college years.
Yeah, you didn't put it to waste. Some people like.
No, I did not.
Some people just they have boring no offense to them, but they have boring childhoods, man.
Man, we were super lucky to grow up where we did. I mean, there was a lot of work. Like we worked probably younger than most people, but it was fine. Like I enjoyed it. Like I loved it. Yeah. You had freedom, have animals.
And what's great is you guys are great people. Too.
Well, thank you.
You're not like complete a-holes. You know what I mean? Like some people were really bad in their youth, and then they're like just awful people,
just sour the rest of their life.
Yeah, you guys are like great people, man. Both you and your brother. Like I know see you guys every day.
And with great people make great people. So my parents, that's their fault.
Yeah, it's all your fault, Rick.
Yeah.
And Cindy, it's all y'all's fault.
I don't view myself like I don't go around and be like I'm a great person. I definitely don't view myself like
you're just down to earth. That's why I like you.
Yeah, down to earth people are the good people. I believe.
I believe it too.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, man.
Well, I'm super glad that y'all brought me back.
I'm glad you came back on, man.
Yeah. I did have a question for you, and you can cut this out if you want to. Is your girlfriend? I know her brother passed.
Yes.
Is she doing okay?
Yeah, she's doing okay. Yeah, that was a tough stretch. My cousin passed away, and then her brother passed away like within a week of each other.
Yeah, you were not doing good
that was not a good week.
That was a Friday, I think, or Thursday or something. Or was it a Wednesday? I don't know. It was later in the week.
Man, I can't remember.
And you were gonna come over, and I was like, dude,
right? Yeah.
I was like, you just need to just do you.
Yeah, I was having a rough day at work that day too.
I've never seen you like that ever.
I was ready to fight somebody.
You were. I could tell you were just like, not you. You know that like I don't give a flying toot face.
Yeah. Yeah. Sure enough, I was there.
Yeah, you had that face.
Yeah. But to answer your question, they're doing a lot better, and I would say it actually probably helped bring them together a little bit. We've actually spent a lot of time together over the holidays, like her and her family.
Yeah.
It was really nice. I mean, I hate to have it under those circumstances,
But
but
something good came out of it.
I think so. Yeah.
Well, you hope it would get better instead of worse. I think it makes you contemplate life a little bit more.
Yeah, it's a bad deal. It's a bad deal. My cousin, when he passed away, that was super upsetting too. Like he was young, and that was tough. Yeah, and I hate it for his parents and his siblings, because I can't imagine what that'd be like. Because me and Landon are thick as thieves. I mean,
Oh yeah,
we're two totally different people, but
that's what's so cool.
I
is
couldn't imagine.
You guys literally are like totally different people. But
Oh, yeah.
y'all, when you guys start talking and getting together, it's hilarious. Man.
Yeah, yeah. Landon and me, we're night and day, but it makes for a good team.
Yeah, man. That's what I'm saying.
You ever seen that movie Secondhand Lines?
Mm-mm.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all have? I was gonna say the older. Who's the older brother? Not the.
Wait, Secondhand Lions?
Mm-hmm.
Is that with the kid who sees ghosts,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
dead people? Right?
Yeah. Haley Joe
I see
Osment.
dead people.
Yeah, that's what
And then, God, I can't
Haley,
think of
that's
the
it. Yeah,
actors'
yeah.
names.
I can't think of
Robert
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 Duvall.
Duvall,
Robert
and
Duvall is
then
one.
The British actor,
I can't remember
Michael
that guy.
Caine.
Yeah,
Michael Caine.
yeah.
But I feel like in that movie, I could totally see Landon as the Robert Duvall character and me as the Michael Caine.
When you
just
guys are like 50.
no, I'm just talking about like through the whole movie, because early in the movie,
Just like now.
like I mean, it's just like when you talk about some crazy something or another that's been done, like that's Landon doing it, and then me, I'm over there, I'm just like, wait, think about this, don't do that, and then I'm like, just screw it, let's do it.
Yeah. Yeah, we're good. We're going. Man.
I just end up going along with it.
Wasn't there his grandparents or something? What?
I had like great uncles or something. His
uncles,
mom
was
has
it?
to drop him off because she's going to find a new job or something. I can't remember.
But she
just abandoned him,
yeah.
basically.
And they had a weird house too, and it was like,
told all these really fanciful stories that he was just
Yeah.
like, okay, old guys telling me
but
stories.
it was all real.
But it turned out to be real.
yeah, they were
real.
like World War II veterans or something
Mhm.
like that.
It was World War One.
Okay.
Because he was somehow ended up in Africa and
Yeah.
like stole away. No, not Africa, or was it? He was
It
in the
was-
Middle East.
Yeah,
Yeah.
somewhere.
I gotta
like-
watch that movie.
I gotta
now.
watch it again too. It was such a good movie. But yeah, I don't know why, but when I saw that movie, I'm like, oh, that could be
That's
me and
me and my
Landon when we're
brother.
90. Well, I don't see us making it to then, but
And you have your little nephew come stay with you, and then
yeah, probably.
wow, it seems familiar.
Should we leave children with these two?
Yeah, maybe.
We're in the process of building our own airplane to fly into a barn, so
Hey, that reminds me of that movie, that Radio Flyer movie, where the kid used a
I
radio
haven't
flyer and
seen
built
that
an
for-
airplane out of it.
yeah. I haven't seen that one in a long
Oh
time
my
either.
God, that was an old movie. And remember, his dad was a drunk, and he like always beat him and stuff. And he was like he made it for his little brother so he could fly away.
Oh, that's right.
That
That's
movie was
right.
crazy, bro.
Who
Oh my
was it?
God, it was
Elijah
the little
Wood?
yes, and his little brother was who was that kid? Dang it,
Wasn't one of the Phoenixes, was it?
the Phoenixes.
Like River
River Walking.
No, I don't think so. It was that kid was in a lot of younger movies, but I don't remember what his name is. I can picture his face just right here in front of my face.
Have you guys seen The Joker yet?
Yes.
No,
You
me
have?
and Matt haven't seen it. I've
I
seen
saw
the
a
commercial.
clip from it yesterday,
So
and it makes me
good.
want to see it because, man,
Dude,
he got lost in that role.
the ending of it is nuts, man.
The beginning is?
No ending.
Oh.
Yeah. The beginning, I mean, yeah, the whole movie's it's a realistic, like the Dark Knight Joker, I loved it. But it just doesn't seem realistic.
Well, they wanted him to seem more realistic, to show the side of mental illness to it. I think
Yeah.
they wanted him to be relatable, so you could see where or how a person can turn.
Yeah,
Wow.
Yeah.
it seemed like I was like, wow, that seems like that
Go
could
from
actually
pretty
fucking happen.
benign to.
Yeah, and I think that's why it was really controversial for a lot of people too, because
Yeah.
it did have a lot of controversy right after it came out. Like
Yeah,
there were
there's a-
people that either really loved it or hated it, and
Oh,
There was a lot of people worried that it was going to cause like a rise in mass shootings or mass violence afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe it did the opposite, just made a bunch of people be like, man, we should be nice to those people that are just like, because he is super strange in that movie.
And it seemed like a more I guess relatable, but more plausible beginning story for Joker. Like the
Yeah.
whole, oh, I fell in a vat of chemicals and came out wacky-doo.
Yeah.
Seemed like, okay, that's comic book. Yeah,
Wackadoo.
wackadoo. Or the one where he's like, my father slipped my, and I was like, it's super dark. But this one just seemed like, oh, okay, yeah, that could actually happen.
Yeah.
That could actually happen.
Yeah, for real.
You know?
You could have somebody just kind of go loony like that. I mean, and there has been people.
And it was just like a slow decline.
John Wayne Gacy.
John Wayne Gacy, right?
I mean, he was the cloud
He stored
killer.
men and people in his basement.
Yeah,
That
maybe
was
not the
nuts.
smartest guy.
No, I mean,
he didn't have a
you
basement.
never poop where
He
you
put him
eat.
He put him in the
Crawl space. That was it. Yeah.
It was super nutty.
That is one of the reasons why I don't like clowns.
I never saw the movie It until I was older. I just saw clips.
Because every time I see a clown, I think of John Wayne Gacy, and I'm like, this clown wants to chop me up and eat me and put me in his crawl space.
Speaking of people going missing, I think the last time I was on here, we were talking about missing 411 briefly.
Man, good segue. I like that. That was really good.
We had to get around to it somehow.
I was
right?
thinking about, I was like, how am I going to
sorry.
segue into this about, Earth cannons into 411, and you just did it.
Hey, here we are.
Here we are. But yeah,
So
have you like looked at all, because he's got 3 different things. He's got the regular just missing 411, then he's got the hunters 411, which you were talking about earlier. Then there's one that's in cities, people going missing.
okay, so I don't know about the cities.
Yeah.
It did stir me to listen to a few podcasts about going missing,
Yeah.
whether voluntary or involuntary, like people being kidnapped, whatever.
All right.
But it's super interesting about the hiking
Yeah,
in the national
The
parks, especially
national
on the
parks
West
is
Coast.
really what got me.
Just not that I'm any kind of specialist or anything like that. I feel like if people go missing in those parks in the West, maybe they have a heart attack or some medical emergency, or they fall and get hurt and eventually pass away from those injuries, whatever. And I think animals probably are the main reason as to why you don't find anything. But it is odd when you don't find any equipment.
Yeah.
Like the equipment's gone. That's what's weird.
Well,
Yeah.
the story that, because like I said, it was really weird that you guys brought that up, because my cousin, she called me yesterday and we were talking about it briefly. And some of those stories are really weird because people disappear like that, like between people seeing them.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Yeah.
what's really creepy, is that there'll be people on this side of them and people on this side of them, but somewhere in the middle.
Yeah, there's like a
So,
small window
Yeah.
of like 10 seconds, and then they're just never seen
So
again.
I have a fairly, it's a story that happened to me, but I say happened to me, that's not right. It's a guy that I hiked with in the Sierras for a time,
Yeah.
and he went by the name of Sherpa. And I want to say a girl that was hiking near him, her name was Amber, and her trail name was UV, and they got to be friends.
Yeah.
And so I got off trail when this happened, but I'd hiked with this guy for probably, I don't know, like 3-4 days, on and off. And he stayed with us a few nights. And like, we didn't really hit it off at all. Like, we were just clashing personality types, but there's nothing wrong with him per se. He's just his own. But the last time I saw him, we had lunch together, and we're just sitting there talking, and like getting to know him that way. He's just a different cat.
Yeah.
But nothing wrong with him. But I guess about 3 weeks later, he was going to leave Bridge of the, I think it's Snoqualmie is where he was going or leaving from. I'd have to look back into it. Anyway, he went missing, and that was in 2016, and they have not found anything.
Nothing.
No bodies, no anything, no equipment, nothing.
From did they know where his last campsite was too?
They roughly, but it's like you say, it's like a small window. Like people in front knew where he was, people behind. A lot of the people behind decided not to hike through this pass though, because bad weather was moving in. And I don't know what kind of equipment he had then. Maybe he got some mailed to him. But the equipment that I saw him with, I mean, he was literally laying under like a throw blanket. Like he was very minimalist.
He was very maybe unprepared. Maybe.
If he was going up in the Cascades at that time of the year, yes.
Yeah.
Like those mountains, you can die on any mountain. Like in the Appalachians, you can die anywhere, like from weather events if you're not prepared.
Oh yeah.
But I feel like the Appalachian mountains are probably a lot more forgiving than like getting up in the Cascades or the High Sierras, because that is, I mean,
unclaimed territory.
Yeah, it's much more extreme weather. It can change a lot.
And it
quick,
right?
Like it really quick. But nobody knows what happened to him.
Storms rolling.
So when y'all brought up 411, I instantly thought of that. It's like, yeah, I know a guy that disappeared and has never been found. And
see,
it bothers me in a way, because I think like, okay, so what would that have done to my family had that happened to me? Because that could just as easily happen to me.
Right.
Because I mean, I'd like to think I'm prepared, but
did he seem like he knew what he was doing? Like I know you said his equipment, but as far as mentally and like his knowledge of hiking and being outdoors, did it seem like he knew maybe?
I would have to say yes, because at that point we're well over 1,500 miles in.
So
I mean, I would
somebody
say
who
it's
doesn't have a
closer to
lot of
2,000
knowledge
at that point
probably would not make it that far. Or
More
at
than
least
likely,
a
no.
decent amount of knowledge, right?
I mean, and maybe he just got lucky up to that point. I'm not sure. He seemed like this was not his first rodeo.
I got you.
But that can be just as deadly as well. You can get overconfident. And
overconfidence does kill.
Yeah, I mean, you just, oh yeah, I've got this, no problem. That ends up getting you killed.
Hell yeah.
So it could have been that. I mean, his issue, like, we didn't like have a fight or anything like that. Like, there was just issues we had. Like, we didn't hit it off, because it was like I was with a group when we ran into him the first time, and then it was just like us one-on-one.
Yeah.
But it was still like, you never wish that on anybody or anything. Like, and I don't know what happened. Like, you don't know what happened to him. Like, it could have been like he wandered off trail to use the bathroom and fell, or just like some people will go off trail just a few feet and then get completely lost. Can't find their way back.
Yeah, it's easy to get lost, especially when it's like dark weather like that rolling in or something, and you go over there, it just starts to get dark or something, and then you're like, wait a minute, where's the trail? And then you start going the wrong way, and then you get even more lost. Then you're like, shit, and then you panic. Well,
there was a woman in Maine, 2012, I think it was.
Yeah, Maine's just a state you don't want to fuck with.
This is rough. It's pretty rough.
What do they have up there that's like, is it the 1,000 or 100-mile wilderness?
100-mile wilderness.
And literally no one lives.
There's logging roads to go through, but yeah, no one lives in there.
I think they said that there may be there's a log cabin in there where people can.
I mean, there's logging camps, so there may be people living in it, but as far as I know, it's super remote. I mean, we were able to get in and out a few different times, like on trips I went back.
You actually went in there?
Yeah, I hiked the 100-mile wilderness. Well, when I did my AT through hike, but then also with when my buddy Thunderfoot went back, but I didn't do the whole thing with him.
So is that like one of the most like wild places you've ever been?
I wouldn't say that necessarily. It is just
like there's nothing around that reminds you of, civilization.
No, and even like the last towns you go to, they are so. It's just, you can tell they're out there,
like
a small
like
town,
the fishing village type esque town.
I mean, there's just like, I don't see how people survive out there really. Like, I don't know what kind of
the human spirit, bro.
No doubt. I mean, and I'm not talking about in the sense, I'm talking like in the economic sense. Like,
that's true. Yeah, well, how they make money and stuff.
Yeah,
like that.
There's a few shops.
Probably got like that's where all the people who have Amazon FBAs live.
Probably you have to.
Yeah,
just get money mailed to them.
Now that is one thing that's cool. I guess you can live in more and more remote places as long as you have internet connection.
But yeah,
they have a good internet connection?
I was about to say they might not even.
Not really.
It's actually, yeah, they might not have.
I mean, I think most of them work off like a satellite, the HughesNet.
Yeah. Do you carry, like, when you go hiking in places like that?
Mm-hmm.
Do you have like a GPS phone, like a satellite phone?
Now I've not a satellite phone, but I just have mine wherever my phone went. Probably left it in the car.
Yeah.
but probably have that.
Well, I mean, you're not gonna get signal out there though, right?
No, but your GPS will. You can download maps,
Yeah,
and your GPS will run
because
um,
it's not running off like your. That's what I've noticed. Like even when you don't have signal, you still
It'll track you moving around.
right.
Now, I think the way it works is it tracks you based on your last known position.
Right.
So as time goes on, it gets less and less accurate, if I understand right. But it's still pretty accurate.
Yeah, man.
I mean, up until, if you like a whole week and never got a signal.
Yeah, you know what? Maybe we can like have Matt like have a YouTube clip of how GPS works like right now.
Yeah.
And then
it's like
yeah.
insert. This is how a GPS
Insert.
works.
You know, the guy like saying, "Hey guys," you know.
I'm Dino DNA.
Yeah, Dino DNA. But no, the weird thing though is it's like the people go missing. I mean, I'm like, okay, people are missing, but did you hear about the ones that like they found the bodies?
So we had an instance on the Appalachian Trail where somebody went missing and then they found his body. The woman I was telling you about, they found her, but she was like, I think like 100 yards off trail for
Oh my
like
gosh.
30 something days.
Oh, that's
It was
terrible.
really sad. Like I think her last journal entry is like she knew she was going to die. It just blew my mind though to be that close to the trail and never heard
Anybody or anything.
Yeah.
Is that why she died? Because she just didn't know where she was and she didn't want to move, or did she
I'd have to go
she
back
break
and
her
read.
foot or something? Or
No, I don't think she was
break her
injured.
foot, break her leg, or
I don't think she was injured, but I do think like when she ran out of food, like she just slowly wore down
that's
to the point to where I don't know if she like.
maybe she just got so weak she couldn't really move and then she just gave up.
Now I think she did right at the end. She just wrote that she was so weak she couldn't go anywhere, like she was just stuck where she was at. And I don't know. I don't know enough about the situation, but I would just like. It blows my mind like that happened, and not like down in her because obviously if she could have helped herself she would have, but I'm just like, how does that happen?
People panic, man.
What was it last year? I think it was in the Smokies. A woman and her daughter went to go hike out on the Appalachian Trail, and I think they hiked like a mile, or it was not a very far distance, but they were like a quarter mile from their car, and her daughter was just in front. She got to the parking lot, and her mom never showed up. And they never found her, like not for the longest time. And I think what ended up happening is she had like a heart attack or something and like fell off trail. But it was like weeks and weeks before they found her. I mean, in a quarter mile from the parking lot.
That's nuts, man. See, yeah.
And it
even with civilization so close.
Yeah, just right there.
Reach.
So it happens. I mean, it can happen to anybody. I think when I was hiking through the Whites, they said they averaged a death per year.
The Whites. What's the Whites?
The Whites is in like New Hampshire. It's the presidential mountain range.
The presidential mountain.
Oh yeah, all the.
Did
mountains.
you feel regal hiking through it?
I didn't feel regal. No.
What the heck was that? Oh,
that light's gonna
power surge.
That light. It's like a weird temperamental light. It won't see now. It's undoing. There's just like.
I think there's something wrong with some of the
I think
connections.
your house is haunted.
No,
it's always that way.
It's just connections.
It's when we talk about certain things. The Whites. Regal Mountains.
I have some freaky stuff that happens. I rent out a finished basement for my brother and his wife, and there's an airlock on the basement. Like
a what?
So
like an airlock like on a submarine?
No. Like as in
a spaceship.
The way the ventilation system is hooked up.
Yeah.
Like if certain doors are open in the house, it'll cause other doors to slam shut.
Like
it'll cause the airflow to come through.
Oh yeah.
So like sometimes it's really hard for me to close the basement door, like going downstairs. Like I go to pull it shut and it'll just bounce off. Like it won't shut all the way.
Right.
But like I was in my room last night, I'm just laying there, and me and Kaylee are watching something, and I like look over, and the closet door just goes whoop, just wide open, but it's a draft because there is a vent in the closet, and I don't know why.
Well, that's very strange. Why is there a vent?
I think they just built around something maybe that already existed.
Yeah, we have vents in our closet.
It's an older house
because they added this part onto it, so there's a vent in our closet.
Yeah.
So
it's like you think they could have like
in the summertime. I have an issue with mold. Like I have to keep a watch on my closet, or I'll end up with moldy clothes.
Really?
Yeah,
That's awful.
yeah. It's really if I just leave them in there for too long, because really don't have to run the AC that much being in that basement.
Yeah,
Because
it's always cold, man.
It can get hot, it can get cold, but it's definitely regulates the temperature being underground. I wouldn't mind having an underground home. I've always wanted one.
Dude, you did not believe how much you'll save on a power bill if you have. We used to have this house that was literally built into the side of a hill,
I just
right?
think that's so cool.
And it was pretty sweet. And I was lucky that I got. Sorry, that was my wife.
It's okay. You're on duty.
I got yeah, right.
We got a little away.
Oh God, now that you said that, I need to.
Hey, you never know.
You don't ever know.
Okay, sorry. She just sent me a picture of baby clothes.
That's fine.
All I see is you received a picture, and I don't know if it's like we're having a baby, or something like that.
She's
She
just
doesn't
got the
want to
grab
say
bag,
it.
just sitting there, just
Yeah,
like
like
where you
her
at?
go bag, her her baby go bag, and she's like,
She probably
It's
wouldn't
now.
even send a picture. She'd call her mama. Mama, Matt's not here. Come get me.
"What is he doing? He's in the podcast. He's such an idiot. I hate him
Yeah,
so much."
she's
you did this to
crying.
me.
I can't believe you did this to me.
I
Yeah.
had to call my mom to
I
rush
had
me
to
the
call him.
hospital.
Where are you? What are
You're such
you
a
doing?
dick.
You're such an asshole. Fuck you.
Oh my god, I would have to I would feel so bad if I was just like, yeah, I gotta go out of town.
Dude, I
That's when it happened.
swear to God, I hope because I leave my phone on fucking vibrate sometimes, like just because I'm like I don't need to be bothered during this time or whatever.
Yeah,
And
well, it's hard to
gonna
miss.
it's gonna fucking happen one of those times. I
Yeah,
know
I would
it.
be very like with Madeline. Our last pregnancy, she was born 36 weeks. As I just felt weird, so I went to the doctor, and they're like,
Felt weird, man.
I just felt weird. I was like, there's something wrong.
I just feel weird.
So I went to the doctor. They did
Baby.
an ultrasound. They said, this baby's not moving like it's supposed to. You have to go to the hospital right now. I had to drive myself to the hospital.
Oof.
Yeah. So I drove myself to the hospital.
I guess this all happened kind of quick. Though.
Yeah, Matt was actually at work. So I called Matt while he was at work, and I said, Matt, we're going to have this baby. And he was like, what?
Like it's
What is
today.
going? I was like, they told me I had to go to the hospital. We're having the baby today. So I
Mm.
drove myself to the hospital. Matt, they got me upstairs. Matt came upstairs and met me upstairs. They were going to put me to sleep, but thankfully they didn't put me all the way to sleep. They gave me an epidural and we went straight to the OR. So,
and everything went well.
and everything went well.
3 beautiful babies.
Got 3.
Three.
I can't imagine having any. At which I say that, I don't guess anybody imagines it. It's kind of funny. My girlfriend's got a little girl, and
Yeah.
she's cute as a button.
How old is she?
She's 4, so
Oh,
yeah, she's cute.
heck yeah, man.
That's a fun age.
Yeah,
That's cool.
she calls me Jelwood.
Jelwood.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's adorable.
I love it.
Oh man,
I absolutely love it.
They call me Mr. Matt.
Mr. Matt.
Yeah, and I'm like, that is so polite and so formal, and but it's like, like most like adults would be like Mr. Johnson, but they're like Mr. Matt.
I'll tell you the weirdest
I'm
thing.
like-
Have you had any of the young guys at work call you sir yet? Like the kids that
No.
are like 19, 20?
No, Aaron does. I think he's like the youngest one I talked to.
Aaron said sir to me a few times, and I'm like, oh no, I'm not ready for sir.
Dude,
I'm not ready for sir.
No, I call everybody sir, so I know like I try to like play it off and be like, yeah, good sir, like but like it's just ingrained in me like to call people sir.
It's a Southern thing. Like,
Yeah,
I can't.
That is true.
Like when I'm talking to your dad or something, especially like our George or somebody.
People made comments when I was out west about it. Like we'd be out in the park and somebody asked me a question about it. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. They're like, okay, you're either from Texas or the military. And I'm like, well, not from the military. And they're like, what
Yeah.
part of Texas are you from? The Georgia part.
The Georgia part.
That Georgia part of Texas,
I'm like, oh, I never heard of Georgia, Texas. Huh.
That is something that's super strange, like on my travels. People from the like deep south,
Yeah.
like Tennessee, Georgia, Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana, Carolinas, really, they don't travel.
Nope.
You don't see them out in the world much.
Speaking of that, isn't it weird how like it's like we have the South, and then it's just like Florida.
Dude,
Like
Florida,
it's like what happened? You
There
know
was
what I mean?
So you brought up Florida, but Matt sent me a video the other day of a comedian talking about that. Like Portland and Austin have signs that say "Keep it weird," and then he's like, "How do you have the audacity to say that when Florida is attached to the United States?"
Florida
Like,
just is weird.
It's
Well, so in the video, he was talking about someone in Florida tried to rob a Wendy's with an alligator. Like you cannot,
that's awesome.
you can't
Now,
say
have
you're
Was
you
it a
heard-
baby alligator or like a full
a
grown
baby alligator.
is good enough for him to carry. Have y'all heard part of why there's so many stories about Florida?
Mm-mm.
There's some state law that they have that every crime, no matter how minuscule, top to bottom, gets published in a paper.
Really?
Everything.
So,
So-
that's why.
That's part of it.
That's how everything
don't
gets
think-
cataloged.
I mean, the reason I say it's part of it is the reason there's such availability on the
That's-
story and the
that's true.
details, and a lot of news agencies just like
They're
slow
like-
news day. Let's see what happened in Florida because there'll be something. I mean, you could argue a lot.
Man
of these
rides
things.
cougar through, state park. Like what?
I mean, when you think like in the height of when the like zombie apocalypse theories were popular, like if there were a zombie apocalypse, I'd do this. When that was popular, there was a Florida man who got his face eaten off by another Florida man.
That was terrible. It was on
And-
the news, and they were on the side of the highway, and he's holding.
That's
it,
not
and
going to
it's-
happen in
Ugh.
Wisconsin.
No. So Florida's the only one.
In Kansas or something.
That's not going to happen in Austin or Portland either.
Nope. Florida. Isn't it
Some
weird
interesting
though?
things do happen in Austin.
It's like it's like
I mean, Portland.
Florida. I mean, I don't want to speak bad about Florida, but like
no,
Florida's-
it's okay. They
it's
got
kinda
beautiful
like a-
beaches and
They do. It is a great place, but Florida is kind of like if you think of the United States as a human body. Florida's like that weird growth on the side of your body,
Well, it's got
and
to
you're
be
like
a
you
growth.
don't know what it is.
It's
you
got to
know?
be a growth that you're slightly attracted to.
Right, but you're like
We're not cutting it off.
right. You're like
It's like,
I don't want to cut this off, and you like name it. You know,
This is like who I
this
am.
is this is this is Sally the tumor or something, and then that's
It's my mate.
yeah. But you really like it, and you're attached to it, and you can't cut it off.
Well, all I know is Florida is a special place. I mean, you've got Scientology, you've got NASA.
Is
you've
that
got,
from Florida?
You've got everything in Florida.
Was it like
I don't know
in-
if it's from Florida, but they've got like a headquarters in Clearwater,
Of course they
Disney
do.
World.
Disney World. I mean, you got some wild stuff.
The
I mean, you
Florida
literally
Keys.
have Jurassic Park at the southern end.
Yeah,
I mean, the Everglades are like the closest thing. There's dinosaurs
that place
swimming
is
around everywhere.
nuts, dude.
I would say that Florida is definitely it's like a place that a kid imagined.
It's a
then
magical, wonderful,
a
crazy
bunch of crazy,
place.
like
A crazy.
a child made this place up in their head, and then adults were like, "That's a great idea.
Yeah.
Let's move there."
It's like a child did acid and was like, "Hey, I want to make a thing like this, a place like this,
yeah, and
It's
then,
got beaches and
It's got
adventure, and it's
and
got
And
dinosaurs
then
and
if you-
people riding cougars through parks,
and if I'm not mistaken, they
and
are
robbing
the,
Wendy's with alligators.
I think they're the #1 state for cattle,
They are.
for raising cattle.
They are. I learned that fact about 6 months ago, and I was like, they were like, "What do you think?" So, and I was like, "Texas, easy.
Texas.
Texas, maybe Oklahoma."
I was gonna
and
say
they were like,
one of those
"Nope,
two.
Florida," and I was like, "What? Florida?
Well, you know who's the #1 provider of peaches?
Not Georgia?
Not Georgia,
Not Georgia.
which
It's probably like New York.
I think our #1. I think we put out more. And see, New York, you think apples,
No,
but apparently Georgia is a bigger producer of apples
they
than
are.
New York.
They're the leading. I think they're the leading producer.
Have
of
you been
apples.
up to LJ? Like,
Fair. I mean,
Have you?
I mean,
Been to
welcome to the
LJ?
Napa Valley of apples.
I
Yeah.
mean, really, and
Napa
not
Valley.
Just, they just started all of these new groves probably because they're like, look at all these white people come to pick apples in the fall.
They love.
They come to
picking
see the leaves
apples.
change
Look
and
at
apples.
Apples, petting zoo. It's like I've never seen a cow before. Oh my god!
I bet
to
all
get
you fools
hand-
know Johnny Appleseed by heart.
That's right. They like to get handcrafted apples. We could make anything tartar sauce out of apples, and they'd be like, "Oh, apple tartar sauce,
Hey,
Tartar.
apple tartar sauce."
if you fry it, they will come.
And
right?
since ciders have become so big in the last
Oh yeah,
10
ciders,
years,
man.
like
Apple wine. Oh, this
Well,
vintage of
oh
apple
my
wine.
goodness.
there's some of these places that have their own cidery.
they do. Mercier's has its
Cidery.
own
You
ciders,
said that,
wines.
cidery.
Cidery.
Oh, we're going to visit the cidery. And
They had I saw on Facebook the other day where they were having a tasting for the new year. They were going to have like a New Year tasting party.
Yeah.
And they have like those tastings too, but they have them where you can like bring your kids in so you can get the hard ciders and then they give them like actual cider.
Yeah, and donuts.
It's like Winthrop and Winthrop and Mimi are coming. We're going
Winthrop.
to You know, like the couple, like an old couple, like Winthrop and like her name's not Mimi,
What
but for
was the
some reason
rich
they call
couple?
her Mimi, and they're like, we're going to the cidery to have a tasting for the new year.
The rich couple from Gilligan's
Yeah,
Island.
yeah. So, you know, like that rich couple that you're just like, what the hell is
Well, they've
wrong
got-
with these people?
They've got plenty of vineyards up there now too. I
They
mean,
do.
I
Have
don't
you seen those
drink, but
signs when you're driving up
we
there?
should go up there and see the fainting goat.
There's like
Oh, yeah.
wine tasting signs going up there. I went to go meet my mom for Christmas, and there was just like every like 5 miles was like wine tasting,
Yeah.
wine tasting, wine tasting, wine tasting. Like, man, they're really pushing that alcohol.
I just
Yeah.
want to go to that one with the fainting goats. Matt can drink
There's
the
a
wine, and
fainting
I
goat.
can
Oh,
play with the
yeah.
goats.
The fainting goats. You get drunk and play with fainting goats.
That's all.
That sounds awesome.
That sounds like a.
And see, everybody loves goats now too. I can assure you, like
All right, how
going
did
to see goats.
Wait a minute. how
Well,
did
I
we-
mean, some of them pee in their own
How did we get here
beards.
from Missing 411?
how do we get to goats, fainting goats from missing 411?
Hard to say, really.
Anyways, hard to say, really.
I guess we'll have to go back to the tape.
Damn, you went through bit Mimi. Okay, yeah, but back to that. When the people get found, they have their pants and their socks are missing, or
Their shoes.
Their shoes are missing,
Sometimes their feet.
and their feet are missing, and then they have their pants on backwards.
Yeah.
Are you talking like Dyatlov
They're
Pass type
founties.
stuff? Like
The
where?
what?
Have you ever heard of the Dyatlov Pass? Pass
Yes, the Diablo. Yeah, in
from
Russia.
the 50s.
Yes, when they were found, they were naked,
Yeah.
right?
See,
Because when you get frostbite or whatever, and it's severe. It's like you get really hot. You feel like
Yeah.
you're getting hot.
yeah, derobing.
Right, derobing.
And
That was
They're-
weird though. That was still weird.
there's a YouTube guy, which I'm going to
Aliens?
say, aliens. But they said all that like monster, aliens, spirits.
Yep.
There's a guy that I follow on YouTube. He's a Swedish guy, but his channel's called Lemino,
Lemino.
like LEMMINO,
Yeah.
and super great videos. He only does one like every couple months, and they are really, really well done. Super good. And one of them he did was on Dyatlov Pass to like demystify it. And
Is that what he's like letting you know about things that happen? Like he's like, this is the 411. Well, I guess 411.
He does
411 on
what
this.
he did? He did a video about simulated reality, one about how come we haven't contacted anyone outside of Earth, like any aliens. But he also does like MH370, the plane that disappeared.
Yeah.
He did Roanoke Island was the last one, which
That
was
was
super good.
I gotta
But it
watch
kind
that.
of like lays it out as like, how did this turn into such a legend / mystery? But he also did like internet mysteries like Cicada.
Yeah, the cicada thing where they were like, they thought it was the CIA trying to hire people.
Yeah.
And it was like these posters, can you solve this and all this stuff. And there was people.
And from what it looks like, it turned out to be some just really smart dude.
Yeah, he was just fucking with people.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm just fucking with you.
But they
Joke's
do,
on you.
They do all sorts of stuff like that. His videos are like that. But he did one about what were we literally just talking
Something
about? Dyatlov Pass.
Yeah, yeah.
And
So what did
he thinks that because it was so cold up there, that what they would do in their tents, they had like one big tent that they would have like a gas stove. And he believes the reason that it showed them like trying to cut from the inside is because they started a gas fire inside the tent. And once they burnt the tent and probably all their clothes off, then they proceeded to run around. But the weird stuff with that one comes in with like, there's one guy with his tongue cut out, their eyes are missing. One
Weird
of them has
stuff.
like crushed internal injuries.
Somebody see the crushed. I don't know about the crushed or the tongue, but the eyes. I think that would be like. I know predators. They like to go for soft things,
Yeah.
and like maybe they just maybe
Never, ever, ever watch a badger eat a gazelle.
that was random.
That was
I mean, we were talking about predators, but a badger, a gazelle.
Now everyone will look that up.
That's just right. Yeah, you're welcome.
No, they will not like that.
Okay, but that's just weird. A gazelle. You're like, oh, a lion or maybe a panther or something, but a badger. Well, did he hunt the gazelle down?
I have no idea.
It just kind of started late and like, oh, there's a badger and there's a gazelle right there.
Yeah, and then you're like, no.
What's going on? What's going on? Oh,
But yeah.
God. Yeah.
That was random, and I'm sorry.
It was great.
But going back to the past, they're like, yeah, there's all those like traumatic injuries, and they can't figure those out, which is really odd.
Yeah, why the tongue, man? That's weird.
But then there was like a guy up in a tree.
Yeah,
Don't know
like
why
that.
he was up in the tree. So it looks like all of them did do one thing in common, was they derobed, like they got to the point of freezing to death, and they took their clothes off, and then that's pretty much that's.
Yeah,
the
but didn't
end.
they find clothes outside of the tent though?
Yeah. Yeah, like they probably had on like undergarments, like you remember, like you see in the
Long
old
johns and
movies.
stuff,
like,
right?
Yeah, basically like long johns. I think they took all those off, and that happens. I think they talk about like on Mount Everest, they find a lot of people who've done that.
Yeah, isn't that, speaking of Mount Everest, isn't that so weird how they just have to leave bodies up there?
They're landmarks now.
I was watching, I can't remember if it was a documentary or if it was a movie, like a dramatic movie about, I think it was just Everest. It was a movie.
There was a movie Everest that came out a few years ago,
And
there's also a documentary that came out recently about the deadliest day on Everest,
Well, obviously-
which is
none
what
of-
the movie Everest is about.
None of those
Yeah.
people follow Wim Hof, because if they did, they would have climbed Mount Everest in their shorts and survived 100%.
Yeah, just t-shirts, shorts, just run to the top.
How many
and
times
back.
has he been to the top and back? Like twice, and
That
in
guy's-
Mount Everest in his
he's
shorts.
He's on cocaine or something.
And
man.
and then one time he did get lost in a snowstorm while he was up there.
I don't-
He
he's like-
has great he loves the cold.
Great air control and cocaine.
I mean, it doesn't hurt because isn't he Scandinavian or something like that?
He is.
He's like Norwegian.
He's from up there somewhere.
He's a
And
Viking.
he's used to cold, man.
But like when he was on that Joe Rogan podcast talking about setting the record for swimming,
Underneath
Oh
the
my
ice.
gosh, when
Underneath
his
the ice.
his retina's froze.
his retinas froze. Like, what does that even mean? Like, you
They're
just
like-
lose the ability to focus?
Is it blurry? Can you not move your eyes anymore?
Yeah, he
But-
couldn't move his
But
eyes or anything.
he swam underneath the hole, so he actually broke the record because he just kept going, and then he
Yeah.
realized this has got to be too far. So
And
like,
he turns
crawls back.
around and goes back.
So he's like crawling against the ice to get back.
How, bro?
And my question is, he gets out and he's like, the only thing that really bothered me was my eyes were frozen. I was like, oh God, am I blind forever now?
Yeah,
like-
like, does that mean your
You're
eyes
not worried
pop?
about.
They're
You're not
just
worried
like,
about anything else
Yeah.
though. Like, not worried about. I mean, I've figured
Am I
like
going to
I might
lose
be
my
frostbite.
fingers? Am I going
Yeah.
to lose my wiener?
Well, not when
You know?
Yeah, that is something I was
It's
not actually thinking about.
unprotected.
Until
It's
just now.
unprotected, right?
It is a very vulnerable.
Well,
Even
he's
though I
got
know
like
it-
5 kids, so at this point he's probably okay. But
He's like, it's okay if I lose my.
I just don't
my
understand.
manhood."
I don't understand how it works.
Well, I don't know why I just.
it's like a type of meditation. I think we watched something on Netflix where those guys from Tibet, some of those monks, they can raise their body temperature
Yeah,
to
at
it's-
will.
At will,
Well,
and do their heart rate too.
he
and
did
everything.
that scientific experiment where he just like convinced him. He was like, "You can inject me and I won't get sick."
and he didn't. And they did it to other people too.
He was able to raise his body temperature enough that it was like a self-induced fever that killed the disease before it could get started.
and they taught
You
teaches
won't
other-
fever me. I fever me.
Yeah.
fever me.
I fever me.
They taught like a bunch of other people how to do it, and they
Yeah.
did the same thing because I've watched several of his free lessons, and he's like, we did this in the laboratory. We have proven this scientific. I mean, and
We've
it's
got
really-
scientific
We've got
information.
science on our side, and he really does. It's really interesting.
Scientific data.
If you can really do all that work, because that's
So what if you could take a pill that just unlocked whatever that is going on with him?
You talking?
mean-
Well, are you kind of getting into that like that movie Limitless? Remember that movie Limitless?
In
with,
a way,
that's based off of
Brad-
a real
what was that guy's name?
nootropic.
Bradley
Is that what
Cooper?
those drugs are called?
yeah, nootropics.
Yep, nootropics.
Yeah.
You know, and there was actually I was watching this thing called Hamilton's Pharmacopoeia on Hulu.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Oh yeah. I watch Hamilton.
You remember
all the time.
he goes to that place in it's like the underground volcano or whatever.
No, I haven't seen this one.
So he's
See, I watched him when he was still on Vice,
it's Vice.
but they just show it on Hulu.
They're just showing it on Hulu because
Okay.
at the beginning it says Vice.
I haven't
so-
watched it since it's been on Hulu though.
I think it's the same thing because it says Vice at the beginning, so they have a bunch of Vice documentaries and stuff on there.
The one that I remember the most is when he went to Amsterdam to try psychedelic fungus.
Yeah, I think that was the last one.
It
he
wasn't
did.
mushrooms, but it's like a what is it? It's like I think it's just a fungus of some sort because it looks like a clump. but it has the exact same properties because they outlawed any like psilocybin mushrooms
Yeah.
in Amsterdam because of something that happened in the 90s. But you can buy this. It's almost like a ginseng looking thing, but it's considered a fungus, and
Psychedelic.
apparently, I'll let you know if I ever go to Amsterdam.
There you go. I can't remember what it was. If it was LSD that he was talking about, or like toad venom. He was talking about something weird, but he was friends with this guy who was like synthesizing all these drugs for it was MDMA.
Okay.
He was, because all these therapists and stuff wanted it, but no one knew how to make it. So he was
like back in the day.
Yeah, he was synthesizing it. Yeah, like in that it was no, it was early. Yeah, it was early 2000s, 90s, because it showed him as a younger guy, like footage of a younger guy, Hamilton guy. Yeah, like long hair.
So what's the difference between MDMA and DMT? Is it the same?
MDMA is pure ecstasy.
That's what I was gonna say. That's ecstasy.
I think. And then DMT is dimetrochloride.
Now that's the stuff that comes from frogs, right?
Right. That's the stuff that comes from frog. But MDMA is different, I think.
Okay.
I'm not 100% sure. But yeah,
so MDMA
is a synthesized.
It's
It's like a synthesized drug, but DMT is not.
So what's the difference between that and Molly? I'm getting educated.
I don't
right
know
now.
I think
about Molly.
someone
I don't
told me
either.
that
Is that
Molly is 100% ecstasy. Like,
Are you
pure.
sure that it's not something like
Whoa.
mixed with Coke or something like that? Like that seems like it's a.
that sounds awesome. But
Also-
no,
Oh,
I don't
what?
think so. I'm just kidding. I don't know.
Kidding.
no, seriously, I'm just kidding. God,
I just feel like you would be like,
I'm gonna
that'd
get
be
in a
a-
lot of trouble with that.
it's gonna be a lot to handle to do something
Wait,
like that.
that's one of those things where you like you ate the whole thing. It's time for you to go home.
Time for you to go home.
gotta-
You need to go to sleep.
You ain't going to sleep on that.
for days.
But no, he did like a sativa thing, because like he was like, "This is my favorite synthesized component." And he took these leaves and stuff, and he was like, and he like sat down on the floor. And then there was this guy took the toad venom, right? He took the toad venom and he was freaking out, dude, and like rolling in this river and stuff. Man, I was like, God damn, son.
That makes me think of
Damn.
you ever heard of Vsauce?
Mm-mm.
It's another YouTube. I live on YouTube.
Okay, I thought this was like Vsauce was a drug.
No. Vsauce has his own
As a person,
yeah, his
a
name's-
legend.
It's like there's memes all over the place. It's like, "Hi, Michael here." Like he'll just do that whole thing.
Yeah.
But he has a show. It's on YouTube Red, and I want to say it's Mind something. But one of the things he does is he goes down to South America to try ayahuasca, like in a scientific way.
You can do that in Kentucky and Florida for anyone who is interested. You can go have a ayahuasca
Of course you can in
ceremony.
Florida. Of course you can in Florida.
It's
But Kentucky?
yes,
Yeah.
there's an Indian, some Indians that live there, and they said because our ancestors did this, we should be able to do it. And they're like, well, that's part of your
Religious
religion, so you can do it. And so they
Oh.
do ayahuasca ceremonies there. But the one in Florida costs like $600. I did it. I wanted to do it. That's why I did some.
Well,
Research on it.
I've heard some interesting things about it, like as far as
Actually,
people like dealing
Gabor-
with addiction.
Gabor Mate. I don't know if you know him.
Mm-mm.
You can look him up on YouTube. He's a psychologist and a doctor. They use it to help people get through like childhood trauma and stuff like that.
Really?
Yes, it's very powerful.
Yeah, I've heard that if you're not a good person, which is strange when they say it like this, but if you're not a good person, like it kind of makes you face yourself.
Yeah, if you have like malintent.
You have to face yourself anay, from what I understand. If you're a good or a bad person, like basically you're going to be vomiting your guts out for the first
Yeah.
day anyway.
I've just
So-
heard. Well, I
It's
guess
like
the reason I
you're-
said it like that is like I've heard the people that maybe not so good, like
Yeah.
having to face it. Apparently, it's
It's a bad experience.
well, it's not.
Or
It is a rough experience, but I think they come out on the other side, and it's just like
A better human being.
I
Maybe.
think they just feel like a lot of shame.
Yeah, it's supposed to reveal yourself to yourself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's.
Like
I know
that's-
what you're saying.
Yeah,
though.
I kind of realized what I just said, but yeah, that's it. You're revealing yourself to yourself, like you're seeing yourself.
Yeah, there's a lot of strange things out there that.
Did we just get off fucking 401 again?
I mean, it's easy.
Jesus.
It's easy. The conversation just flows from here to there. It's aliens.
It's aliens. Yeah. but
Giorgio Tsoukalos is out there somewhere.
let's just keep going on the tangent. Screw it. Screw it.
Yeah, I mean, there's a million things we can talk about.
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
It'll just end
I
up
mean,
somewhere else.
You know, I just like those science. I do like when they do the scientific stuff, like because they're not there to just like party, you know, like they're actually like trying to like come at it from a scientific view. And I think a lot of people don't want to look at stuff like that, and because they're like, oh, that's just because people want to get up, you know, they want to get messed up, man. That's it. That's the reason why they take it.
All of the articles that I read about it, if you're looking for a joyride, that's not
The one.
That's not the one. Don't do that.
Right.
If you want to experience some type of enlightenment, maybe, because it sounds like you're going to go through hell before you actually have any type of like light bulb go off.
It's super strange. Like, there's a part of me. It's just like, what is that experience like?
I know that's me.
Like, is it help you? I see you nodding your
I'm
head.
trying to convince Matt to pay for me to do this.
I don't think it's a bad thing. I think it's like at the time you're just like, oh my God, I've killed her. Like I'm dying.
Yeah.
But
Is it like one of those things, like, you know, when you have a bad dream and like you ever had like a dream where you felt like you killed someone by accident and you're like freaking out and you're like, oh my God, the police are gonna find me, and then you wake up and you're like, holy shit, did that just happen? And
I'm
you're
just
like,
so glad that didn't happen.
oh my God, I'm so glad I didn't just accidentally kill somebody.
Yeah, but what's your subconscious trying to tell you at this point? That's my
kill somebody
interest.
while I
Me
was
and my
asleep? I
girlfriend
don't
have
know.
had these talks before about dreams because I've
Like when I dreamt I
have
hit
some-
somebody with a car.
had some messed up dreams before like that too. And
And you go out and they're dead and you're like, oh my God. And then you're like panic and then you're like wake up and you're like, oh my God, I just run someone over. And you like I went out and checked my car and I was like, what the fuck?
well, you hear about that too, like people sleepwalking and like driving a
Right.
car. Or
Most of those people
Yeah.
are on like Ambien.
No, that's
Ambien.
true.
There was a lady that worked at Walmart. She worked with you in the garden center. She said that she was on that. She was either on Chantix. She was on Chantix, and she cooked a whole Thanksgiving meal in the middle of the night while she was asleep.
People talk
That's a
about
nutter
doing
butters,
crazy,
bro.
like crazy stuff like that all the time. Speaking of Hamilton's pharmacopoeia, like it stems off of that. Apparently in Colombia,
Yeah.
one of the like highest rates of things that happens is people getting robbed. But it never gets processed as a crime because almost all the evidence always points back to the person. And the reason being is there's this tree that just grows down there, and the main ingredient is actually in motion sickness, like the pills you take for motion sickness or seasickness.
Mm-hmm.
Dramamine.
Yep.
It's in Dramamine.
I mean,
I don't know what it's called, but like if you make it into a tea or a powder,
Yeah.
apparently on one of the episodes he's talking about that you just walk into a club and a girl like leans in to kiss you and like blows it off her hand into your face, and apparently you become extremely suggestible. And
I saw that in this
it's just
show.
like, man, we are such good
Yes.
friends. It's like, yes, we are. It's
You
like, you
wanna-
want to empty out your ATM to me, everything in
Yeah.
it. You're like, I
Oh.
do.
Yeah, like,
And
hey,
then
we're gonna
after
go to the bank and you're gonna give me all your money in your savings account.
and
all
it's
of
like-
it.
And after we do that, we're going to drive to your house and you're going to give us all your stuff because you know why?
Yeah.
I'm like, no. It's like, you're a good guy. Like, I would do that. Come
Yeah,
on, let's
you're
go.
let's do it. I'm a great
But
guy.
they were interviewing all these people that had like robbed themselves. But it's like that. They don't remember any of it. They
It's
wake up
messed
the
up.
next morning and they're like,
What just happened?
and then they go to the cops and it's like, well, it shows you here at the ATM emptying your account. It's like,
Mhm.
it wasn't me. And it's like,
There's a
you.
person over here, and like, I don't even know that person. They said you're acting like they're your best friend.
yeah, I mean, like you're hugging each other.
You're
right?
hugging. You
It's
just gave him a
so-
kiss on the
it's-
cheek.
But it's so bizarre that there is a compound that exists that can make you more
Right?
suggestible.
Somebody invented that,
Like, I think that
or is it natural?
it's a natural.
natural.
It's like the
Right, but who thought, hey, I'm gonna ground this into a powder and blow it in your face?
probably some Aztecs or something if it's down
Yeah,
there.
like,
You're gonna let us go ahead and chop your head
Hey,
off now
I'm
and
your
rip
ki-
your heart
I'm-
out.
The God will love you if you
That's
allow
right.
this.
yeah, they like got all the people around. They're like, we're gonna build some crazy shit.
You know what? Let's build islands in the middle of this lake and call it a
Yes.
city.
That's right. Hey, we're gonna build this crazy place up in the mountains that has an extremely advanced water system,
And
irrigation system,
zoos.
and zoos, and we don't even know why.
And you're gonna give us your daughter so we can sacrifice her to the
That's
gods
right.
later.
Yes.
You know what? I've dreamed of this. Let's
Dude,
do it.
I really got into the Aztecs one time and researching, and just because it was really crazy. And plus, I was like, I think I wanted to maybe try to find some ancient Aztec treasure or something. But did you realize that Aztec shamans would drink? I can't believe I'm about to say this. Would drink penis blood.
Yeah, I actually did know that.
Yeah, I was like,
yeah, it's
what?
That whole culture, man.
They were.
How many did they kill a person every day to make sure the sun would rise again?
I think they
That
did.
was something.
Well, I don't
similar
know if
to
they
that.
killed someone every day. I think if they, like, because they would go to battle, and
Yeah.
pretty much the whole point of the battle was not to conquer the other people; it was to capture a large portion of
Yeah.
them,
So they could have them for work. Yeah,
and to have them for
I
sacrifice.
do know that when there was an eclipse, they would.
Okay.
Oh God! Like the sun come back,
Yeah.
they would. Yeah,
Yeah, that's
they
true.
would. I'm pretty sure that
They
would
did
do
it while
that.
they were still alive too, didn't
Yeah, it was like a pretty terrible.
Mhm.
But apparently, the priests would self mutilate a lot, like
Yep.
bloodletting to
Mhm.
sacrifice to satiate the gods. I would really like to know more, like how do you come to that line of thinking, like as a primitive?
Lots of
they?
drugs.
When me and Matt, we
that
watched.
might be
Lots
true.
of ancient
I
drugs,
watched
probably.
Dark Tourism. The guy went to Africa where they do special, like some people do a certain type of voodoo, and then there's a different type of voodoo, and in this other type of voodoo, these people were literally they would let
Is it hoodoo?
they would
Because there's hoodoo and there's.
I don't know.
voodoo.
They were letting this god possess them, and he needed the
Okay.
blood, and so then they would cut themselves, and they would cut each other, and it was like this wild, like
And I've seen something
Jesus.
on that too. Like apparently, part of that whole possession, it's powerful suggestion, but I think it's chemically aided in some places. Like they were talking about in Louisiana, a
Mhm.
lot of the medicine, the shamans or whatever for voodoo would actually use plants very similar in nature to this plant in Colombia, and
Suggestion.
like so you could definitely. They were saying to the point to where like when you hear of like a voodoo zombie, like people doing whatever you tell them, like
Yeah.
mindlessly,
Right.
that's what it's from. But I don't know how true any of that
It's like, how
is.
do you
It's
find
wild.
that
it's
out,
probably. I mean, like when. I mean, Louisiana's a pretty.
It's out there.
Yeah, man. It's
but
like full of
apparently it's in
French-
Savannah too. It's just a little bit more under, like
I'm
they're
sure.
not on the surface with it. They still, a lot of people practice voodoo, and if you really look for it, you can see it. But it's not on the surface like it is in Louisiana.
Have you ever seen The Devil's Advocate?
Yes.
No, I've never seen
That first part of that movie, they have to deal with a voodoo guy. That's I don't know why, but that
You
part of
know,
the movie creeps
that's the
me
one
out
with Al
so
Pacino
bad.
and Keanu Reeves.
It is.
Keanu Reeves. Yes, Keanu Reeves.
And
I said Keanu Reeves like, why the heck
Like
would I say
five-
It was
Charlize
actually
Theron
Keanu Reeves.
is Keanu Reeves' wife.
Yeah.
Charlie the Ron.
And she gets Charlie Theron. And she gets remember she goes crazy
mm-hmm.
and he ends up killing her or something, right?
She kills herself.
Spoiler alert.
We're a
Even though
little bit
that
behind.
movie's like was made
Like
like
1995.
yeah.
I think
That should be plenty of time, right? Not you don't need a spoiler alert for a movie that
I
old.
feel like you have to say spoiler alert for anything. It's like
I know people
How'd
get
your
so
day go?
angry.
Spoiler alert!
Spoiler alert! It was
awesome.
awesome. God, thank Jesus you gave me that spoiler alert. Otherwise, I would have had to smack you around.
I'm more of just like if it's a new movie. If it's been out for like a couple of years, at that point, it's my own fault.
It didn't get that crazy until Game of Thrones.
Yeah,
Because I
boy, all
swear,
that
bro,
don't spoil me. But and then for it to end that way,
dude. Dude, seriously, people would be like, if you tell me, what happened in this episode of Game of Thrones, I will kill you. And I'm just like,
stay off the internet.
Jesus, dude.
yeah,
I'm like, you're still on season 2, and it's like in season 6, bro.
yeah.
Like, get a hold of yourself, okay? And
Just somebody's gonna screw up and say something.
drink some tea and relax, okay?
Did they drink
For
some kind of
frick's sake.
special tea in the Game of Thrones?
I don't know,
They
man.
probably did.
Yeah, maybe.
Um,
No.
You're spoiling it for me. I
Wait,
haven't seen any
shit.
of it.
Sorry.
I saw season 1. I'm the worst when it comes to television.
It's
watching.
over, man. No more spoiler alerts.
Have you seen the new Star Wars?
No. They're
I
watching
haven't.
all the ones on
I-
Disney Plus.
I keep asking. Oh, you guys got Disney Plus? The Mandalorian is amazing.
Well,
they're
Mandalorian
going
is
through,
super
They're
good.
going through the movies first. He's trying to go through all the movies with our oldest.
That's beautiful.
Like
Who wanted to do
I
it?
don't
You
know.
or him?
it was.
He did. I've seen all of them.
You want to?
Have you?
Yeah.
yeah. Matt's
Okay.
never seen them, but I've seen all of them. So I'm not.
Do you know?
like-
Would you want to go see the new Star Wars movie?
I'll say this, like visually,
Yeah.
pretty awesome.
I heard it. So there's a lot of throwbacks. Like it's like all throwbacks.
There is a lot of like fandom, like
It's
just
like
reaching out.
they like tried to back up, backpedal, and be like, "Oh, look at this! Hey, look at this! This calls. Hey, look at all these."
I listened to someone
Nostalgic
do a
things.
review of it, and they said it's like it's a movie that makes you mad, but then like 2 minutes later you forget what it was that made you mad or you didn't like because something happens. You're like, oh, that was pretty cool.
That was pretty sweet.
So it's just chock
Wait,
full of
wasn't
stuff
I
like
just
that.
angry?
Well, maybe we'll see it, but
There is a lot of like heavy eye roll stuff that happens where you're just like, oh my god.
Was it, yeah, like the whole Jar Jar Binks thing.
It's not quite that bad.
You know, that poor guy, man.
You know,
he
like
got death threats and stuff from people.
George Lucas.
No. Jar Jar Binks, the actor who yeah,
I mean,
he got death threats, dude.
people had to go out and figure out who that dude was.
Like how? I mean, dude, I love Star Wars. Like I love Star Wars. Those are my favorite movies in the ever, and I love it. And like,
But I think that's why people get so upset because there's people like you, like people just love it.
but dude, I'm not gonna. I was thought Jar Jar Binks was the weirdest dude ever. But I was like, he's kind of funny sometimes.
You know, have you heard the fan theory? And I think that was
That he's a
actually-
Sith.
That's what it was supposed to be.
Yeah.
It makes way more sense that that's what he wanted it to be, and then he kind of bailed on it because he was like, "No, this ain't gonna work."
He's like, people aren't.
but
gonna
it's like
believe that Jar
Jackie
Jar Binks
Chan's
is a
drunken
Sith.
master. Like he's just this guy that just like it
Drunken
looks like
boxing.
everything's
Yeah, drunken boxing.
mishap, but it's
Mhm.
actually him Jedi
It's
fighting.
all planned. Jedi mind trick powers.
Mhm.
Yeah.
all Jedi mind
see,
trick.
I just
Jedis.
to me, I mean, I like all
Well,
the
Sith,
movies,
not Jedi.
and none of that stuff ever bothered me. I just
True.
try not to take it too serious. Just try to enjoy the movie.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like I know a lot of people were upset about that Han Solo movie, but I liked it.
Well, that's the thing. Like, I've seen a lot of people review it, and it's like this movie got a lot of hate, and it's probably one of the better ones.
I really liked
And because
it.
of that movie, they're not going to do any more like side stories. Like I wish. They
Oh no,
would.
no,
I thought
no!
they
I
were
hope
gonna do
they're
a
gonna do
second-
Kenobi. They're gonna do a.
Are they
They're
gonna do?
gonna do
I
a
saw
Kenobi.
something
That
about.
would be awesome.
There was another one that they were coming out
Boba
with.
Fett. They're thinking about doing one for Boba Fett, and they're thinking
No.
about doing one for.
See.
As well.
I love the Mandalorian
crap.
though. Like just that whole way they're.
I know what
doing
you're
it.
talking about, but I can't remember who it was about.
You
Sorry.
t-
What?
No, I was just saying like to kind of take the Jedi out of it.
Yeah.
And it's more of just like
The Mandalorians were bad. Dude. I buy all the books, like the history lore books and stuff.
Mhm.
And the Mandalorians were like amazing warriors. Like they're like our Spartans.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, they're I
But
don't know.
space Spartans.
Space Spartans.
They're space
Space
Spartans.
I don't know. It was just a really cool concept. Like I really enjoyed. I don't think Kaylee enjoyed it as much.
Yeah.
She did pay attention though.
Plus Pedro Pascal's sweet. He's a pretty cool guy.
Yeah. Yeah. If you haven't seen it.
And of course, I guess Baby Yoda is pretty cool too. I
Well-
think people really got way too far with the Baby Yoda though.
Yeah, well,
People are gonna hate me for saying that.
Well, it's not Yoda.
It's
No.
well, they call it Baby Yoda,
Yeah,
or
yeah.
the baby,
The child.
the child. That's it, the child, not the
But
baby.
yeah, I heard something early on. They were saying he could be 50 years old,
That's what they say. Yeah, he's like
but
50.
he's still an infant.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be great?
You know how Yoda. You know how old Yoda was when he died.
Yeah, like 900.
909. Yeah, 900 something years old.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It's pretty sweet, man.
That's a long time.
Methuselah.
But
I don't know.
some people think he's
Can
a clone of
can you-
Yoda.
Can you imagine though how disappointing it would be if you lived to be 900 years old in real life? So that
That'd
means
be awesome.
okay. So you go back to the year 1100.
That'd be sweet, dude.
No,
No.
no, it wouldn't.
Live now. I would want to live
Oh
now.
yeah, if you were born now and went through,
Yeah.
I don't know. It could
not
be
back
bad
then,
too.
that'd be awful.
But
I
you go 1100 to now, like the last 100 years of your life.
If
you're
you're like-
old and decrepit.
if you're like
"This place
human
is
and could
pretty
still
sweet now."
die.
now I gotta go.
I'm
Yeah.
out now.
You're like, dang it, man. They just invented iPhones and now I gotta die.
I guess the best part of that though is at least you made
Or YouTube, you know?
got to the part where you actually had running water and toilets in your home. So I mean,
Yeah.
look at the bright side. You got to see all of this.
I spent 800 years shitting in the woods, and now
and now I get to see someone pooping in space. You know, now they can poop in space.
now I might live to see someone go to the bathroom on Mars.
That's right.
That's right.
Now they have self-actuating poop toilets. Toilets that like
man.
raise up and like say hello, good morning,
No, thank you.
good poop, good poop to you.
Man, this
Good-
is going to
good-
be
good
another
poop.
segue into something.
Yeah, good poop. to you.
Japan and New Zealand's toilets are the best. We're so far behind. I think I said it on the last
Is
podcast.
it? Or is it because are they like heated or something? Or?
They like sing to you. They're automated.
While you're pooping, or before or after you're going to the
Wow.
bathroom? Yeah.
Wow, it's so relaxing.
Is it like muffled?
No, it's not under you. The speaker's in the walls.
You're like, what are you trying to say? You know?
Yeah.
Sorry, that was Okay, go ahead.
I mean, I don't.
Speakers.
If it's cold and your toilet warms itself up and it cleans itself, and
Don't they raise up? Like, doesn't the cover like raise up when you walk in and stuff? Though
Some do that, but that's still like it's not quite that far on. It's more of just like how clean and sanitary it is, and like
do they self clean themselves? They have like a little
Uh,
robot that like runs around in the toilet.
you
no.
can buy self cleaning toilets now.
What
that was
about-
one thing that was cool in South Korea, though.
Yeah.
They
They're so
they had robots
technologically-
in the airport that would just like, if you were lost, you could go talk to the robot and be like, okay, this way, and it
No
would lead
way.
you around. Yeah, it would tell you where to go, or if you didn't feel comfortable going on your own, it would take you there.
That's what they need to do with those little Roomba vacuum cleaners instead. They should have just made them into little.
like the things on Star Wars, though. Beep, 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 beep. You know, the little droids, the little black droids that were like this big, and they rolled around.
Yeah.
And they'd run in, and they'd be like, "Whoa, crap!" And they'd see something happen, like a laser.
You know how great it would be if like a droid came out of my bathroom and saw me and was like, "Wah, wah," just took off the other way.
Bro.
I'd be like,
That'd be
Solid-
sweet.
solid morning.
Little
the
little-
droid's afraid of me.
Yeah, little Joey the droid.
I think, I mean, those Rombas are cool, but I mean, do you think like we're gonna have like personal assistants in the
Absolutely.
home? Like,
Absolutely. You know what's going to happen is because I've actually what I'm getting my degree in is I'm going to eventually go into robotics.
hey, can't go wrong.
I do want to do that, and eventually we will. It'll be like iRobot.
You think so?
Absolutely.
See, I was thinking more along the lines of
It's going to be a long time before it gets that where it's like, oh, is this thing actually sentient? You know?
yeah, I was thinking like in our lifetime, you say maybe AI, where they like buy. No, that's not right.
No, yeah. You're talking about
With
with
Robin
Joe
Williams?
Joe Osmond.
No, what's the one with
Haley
Robin
Joel
Williams?
Osment again?
That's that iRobot, I think. That
No. Robin Williams. You're talking about the one where it's like Pinocchio, right?
No,
It's like a story
Robin
about Pinocchio.
Williams is a robot in that movie that you're talking.
Oh,
But no, he's not wrong. It is
okay.
that.
I know
Yeah,
what
he
you're
wants to
talking
become a real guy.
Yeah.
He lives to be like 200 years old or something, but he wants to become a real like
I
a
remember-
real person.
I remember what you're talking about. Now, what's
But
that
basically,
movie?
just like at the end of your life,
What's that movie with Robin Williams as a robot? Can you Google it?
the you Googleizer.
Googleizer. Mixmaster Chef. Google that shiz.
Google that shiz.
Google that shiz.
But yeah, I was just like, there's so many things I wonder about, like by the end of our lives.
what's going to be like?
Like, is there going to be fusion energy? Like real thing, like things that seem to be close, but how far away is it really?
You know what would be really crazy is what I'd be really excited about is perpetual energy
well,
device.
that's kind of what fusion would be in a way, but
Pretty
I don't
much.
think it's
You-
possible to do perpetual energy
well,
inside. Like I think you can do them in space because there's no,
there's no gravity, right?
like, as long as there's nothing to slow it down, it'll go forever. But I guess in a way, even in space, it would, because any two objects that have mass have a small amount of gravity. So even over time, it would
It would-
eventually stop. If it were just like
It would just take way longer.
in that format, like a perpetual motion machine is.
Right.
Um,
But yeah, fusion would be because it's
I think it
way
really.
more power than.
Oh, I was just gonna say I think it really depends on education,
yeah.
and I think it depends. Like I don't know if you've ever seen. I can't think of that guy's name, but he was on Joe Rogan one time, and he was talking about. Imagine that everybody in the world gets educated just in code.
Oh,
Even
yeah.
the person that you think of that's the least intelligent person that you know, and he was like, you can teach those people. You can sit there and say that you can't teach those people, but that's people say trying to be superior or whatever. But if everybody learns some kind of code, everybody learns something about robotics, where would our civilization be?
Yeah, the brain trust
Yeah.
would be
The brain
way
trust.
higher.
Basically, that's what he was saying. If we did that, if we focused on trying to train everybody in just a little bit of code and technology, that we would be basically a different species.
Yeah,
and
it'd
we would
be-
have robots
far
doing
more
everything for
advanced.
us.
It'd be
Right.
mind blowing as to where we are. I heard a little history tale. I can't remember. It was like an Archimedes type. I can't remember who it is, but it was during the height of mathematics in like the Middle East of what is now like modern day Iraq and Iran. There was a mathematician who figured out like the dodecahedron and things like that as far as like advanced polygon shapes.
Yeah.
And there was some invasion that was happening. Like there was a war happening around him and soldiers broke in. And I wish I knew the guy's name because it would give the story so much, it'd be more, you could go look it up. But they broke in and he was just like, don't bother me with your petty war. I'm discovering.
I have discoveries.
I'm making discoveries here.
Yeah.
I'm advancing the world.
I'm advancing.
So the soldier
earth.
killed him and left him. And a lot of people think that that one death set like our technological standards back 500 years right there.
Jeez,
because that one guy, like if we'd have had all his mathematics,
that one a-hole, right?
Yeah,
he was probably like, I don't understand this. You're a demon. Bow.
Well, the guy that came in and killed him was probably more just like, you're coming with me. Like, no, I'm not. I'm busy.
Yeah, I'm busy. Yeah.
And that was the end of it.
Mother truckers.
Just stabbed you because you're busy. Yeah. That's what you are.
Yeah, you're unbusy now because you're dead.
Yeah, but it was like somebody with a famous name you'd recognize, like Pythagorean or like
Matt. Google that shiz.
The Pythagoreans were in Greece, weren't they? Rome.
The Robin Williams movie is Bicentennial Man.
Bicentennial Man.
Yeah.
That's almost like the Library of Alexandria. If it hadn't burned down, what would have you learned? You know, there's a lot of
the collective human knowledge that we would have.
Oh my God, they say that the Library of Alexandria is under the Sphinx. Did you know that?
They think that there is a library under there.
Under the Sphinx left paw. Or under its butt, like, I think.
Yeah, they took some like sonar reading of it.
LiDAR.
That's right, it was LiDAR. But they see that there's some room under there, but they're not allowed to go in.
Cavity. They can't undig it.
Did they ever figure out what happened to its nose? The kids were asking me about.
So they think it's Graham Hancock thinks that the Sphinx, and he thinks it because he's expert in geology, and it was another older gentleman that told him, hey, I know you're an expert in geology. I want you to come look at this. I have an idea.
Oh, that it was underwater or something?
Was it Anthony West?
It was rain. I don't know if it was Anthony West.
It's weather. They're saying that it's water erosion.
Yeah, that it was raining and it was water erosion. Like this stone doesn't get eroded like this unless it's by water.
Yeah.
And one of them was saying that it's like you could tell when the Nile flooded that it would flood over it because of the way the water was. There was not only wear of like rain trickling down it, but also water flowing by it at different levels.
Yeah.
Right, and that like the way the stone looked and everything, and that the Egyptians actually remodeled the Sphinx, and they were saying, why would the Egyptians remodel something if it was only
and then they carved down the lion's head to a human head. That's why it's not proportionate. So,
who built it?
See, I must have heard all this before because that all sounded very familiar to me.
You have. You probably listened to Joe Rogan podcast.
Probably.
Graham Hancock.
Yeah, Graham Hancock.
Cool.
And,
who's the guy who goes out into the Amazon and looks for the rare creatures and stuff?
Oh, I don't know. He just had
just had him on. He was talking about going to look for giant sloths.
And, yeah. He just had him on. I just listened to it.
Matt, Google that shiz.
We are wearing him out today.
I know, right?
Good, put him to work.
He should be Googling. When we ever say like, man, what's that guy's name? He should just be like,
Jamie, can you look that up?
Jamie, hey, young Jamie, can you look that up? Dude, I saw this Joe Rogan video about how he in the beginning, like he didn't really respect him, and like he was like, look at the respect he's giving young Jamie now, and he showed this old video where like young Jamie said something, and Joe Rogan like looked back at him like, what'd you just say, fool? Like, you just talk on my podcast, fool? And then
really?
Yeah. Like he looked at him like that, and he just stared at him like, what the hell are you doing, dude? And then it like fast forwarded, and then young Jamie said something, and he was like, oh yeah. And he was talking to him like, and I was like, okay, no.
It's definitely changed up a bit.
Yeah. Cool. He used to have Brian Redband, and I think maybe he just they were really good friends, and maybe he saw him as an equal, but then young Jamie came and he was like, you're not my equal right now, bro. You know, I'm Joe Rogan.
Who's checking him at the door? He calls him young Jamie, but he's like,
I know.
He's got to be older.
Dude,
than us.
have you ever seen the cartoons they make of certain parts? Like when Ari Shaffir goes and pee in the bottle, and he's like, they hear a siren going off or a car alarm. They're like, "Young Jamie, what is that noise?" It's like, meh, meh. And he's like, "Can you go check that out?" And Archie's like, "Oh, I gotta pee." And he's like, "Yeah, the bathroom's right." He's like, No, I gotta pee right now. And he's like, Are you? Oh, his dick's out.
Have you seen speaking of that, have you seen the Rick and Morty one where it's like the state of Georgia versus
yeah, Rick.
Joe so and so?
Yeah. And
That
Morty's
court
the
case?
judge.
Yeah, and Rick is the
Oh my god, dude.
That is one of the
Have you watched
funniest
you watched
things.
any of the new season?
I have not.
It's really good.
I have not done any of the young adult things.
I really
recently.
wanted
I
to
haven't played
wait.
video games.
I
Haven't
really
done
wanted to
anything.
wait till it was like done and I could just binge it,
Yeah.
but I just couldn't wait.
I guess I'm getting too old. I don't know anything about Rick and Morty. Like I know my
Mm.
brother and his wife are into that. I
Yeah,
don't know.
Pickle Rick.
Pickle Rick. Some people hate that show though. They're
Yeah.
like, that show's idiotic.
I mean, there's definitely an idiotic element.
And I'm
to
just
it
like,
for
that's
sure,
why it's so
but I love it,
hilarious
but
because Rick is like, he's just like this stereotypical drunk. Like, he's like, oh, someone told me they didn't like it because it made fun. It seems like it made fun of Back to the Future and they really like Back to the Future. And I was like, man, you can't be so serious, man. Like it is. And I thought about it and I was like, holy shit, it really is like if Doc Brown was an alcoholic,
Doc and Marty,
Doc and Marty
Rick and Morty.
and Rick
they
and
kind
Morty.
of look like that. Don't
Yeah,
And then I really thought about that, and I was like, "Holy crap! It is kind of like a
That's
spoof
exactly
of
it.
that,
but they don't do time travel. They're interdimensional.
right?"
That's the
And that's how
difference.
they get away without getting sued, probably.
Well, I think it was I think they said the reason they did that was because from a storytelling standpoint,
Yeah,
if you did different dimensions, then you could have a whole bunch going on at the same time.
right. And you
Where,
would
like-
literally never run out of stories.
Oh,
Yeah, because there's infinite dimensions.
Right.
But with the time travel, like you can mess up. It'd be so hard to keep track of what you did.
Yeah, and like the 80th episode, you're like, "Wait a minute! In episode 2, didn't you do this?" And now you're contradicting that, and people be like, "No, it's just another dimension, bro."
And people read so much into some of these shows too.
Oh, yes.
Well, like Futurama had like genuine math problems going on. It took years for people to solve. Like in the credits, in the opening credits, there would be parts of an equation that people would have to put together through the years. Have you ever heard the theory that Matt Groening, who's the guy, he's the creator for Simpsons and
Yeah.
Futurama, that he's
Yeah.
a time traveler?
Yeah,
Mm-mm.
because of the stuff that they showed in The Simpsons
Yeah.
that has come true. All the stuff that's
Well,
come
yeah,
out.
one of them was
It is
Trump becoming president, right?
weird. It's not only Trump becoming
But there's a
president,
lot
It's
of
a
stuff.
lot of stuff.
Yes, a lot of
that
stuff.
he-
The thing that was weird about Trump being president, though, predicting him being president, that it showed him like the night he won coming down an escalator and he's giving like the peace sign like Richard Nixon. And then that really happened. Like him coming down the escalator just like I'm just saying, it's so
But then the
weird.
question
It's so
you,
weird.
the question you have to ask is, did he do it because it was on The Simpsons, or did The Simpsons do that because
Yeah,
he
like the
did
power
it?
of suggestibility.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's just like, oh man, wouldn't it be funny if I just actually did this?
He
exact
probably
thing?
did. Like that sounds like something he would do.
He's just sitting there eating a cheeseburger, just like
He's like,
I'm
I'm
gonna
gonna do
do this.
this.
Yeah, he's like tweeting, and eating a cheeseburger, and then watching The Simpsons. And he's like, "That's me.
That's a great
I'm
idea.
gonna do that. That's a great idea.
This is gonna become
This is gonna become epic
It's
an industry.
huge.
industry.
It's huge.
It's huge. It's gonna be.
It's huge. It's gonna be good."
Oh man, yeah. There, it's so strange, like how that they've predicted so many of those,
I know, right?
like the World Trade Center.
They really did do a lot of stuff. What?
Yeah, there's, he made a show called Futurama afterwards. It's just like, man, if you really are a time traveler. A lot of people I saw were posting on Facebook. It's like, well, World War III must not be a thing because Matt Groening didn't write about it.
It must never happen. Hopefully.
I don't.
Have
I
you,
think it'll be
speaking of
fun.
war, did you hear? I didn't even know about this because I don't watch the news, and that's probably people are probably gonna hate me about that. But
No.
I don't watch the news because there's never anything good most time. Like on Facebook, there's some cool, funny things and stuff and cute things. Like the two little kids who they were met once, and then they were like best friends, and they saw each other on the sidewalk, and they like ran towards each other, and they like hugged it out, and they were like crying, and they were like little 5-year-olds, and it was like they were like best buddies for like years, and they hadn't seen each other. It was the most heartwarming thing I've ever seen in my life. But it was
Yeah. Facebook's a real crapshoot of what you're
It
getting.
does though. Yeah, you could have that, or you can just have like a dog pooping on somebody or something. Like something
Yeah.
weird. But anyways, news sucks. But my buddies were telling me about. Shout out to my Discord community. They were telling me about the Iran,
Yeah, we killed
Stuff.
an Iranian general,
And
like
they-
the
and they-
general.
and
Apparently,
now they're declaring war on us. They
Yeah,
raised
but-
the red flag of doom.
It's not like
Or war or something.
when Obama was in, it wasn't like he didn't do hundreds of drone strikes.
That's true.
I mean, it was just like
This was
they
the
made-
last straw.
they made the first move,
Yeah.
so they were trying to get on with whatever they were trying to get on anyway.
I
And then
saw
they were like,
some meme about that where it's talking about it's just like, well, I was just kidding about attacking the embassy.
that one
and then
too.
it was just like some video or a picture of some guy going, I wasn't
yeah,
wasn't playing.
it wasn't playing. He's ready.
He's
Yeah.
ready.
I mean, it was like
He's
we've
ready.
already. What? How much money did Obama send them? Billions of dollars. Like we
Yeah,
already
man.
sent them billions of dollars.
Yeah, there was
God.
there was some deal that was worked out.
We need,
Yeah.
to, we need
It
to
was-
get that returned, bro.
I know at this point, like,
And then
really.
send it to everybody in like a tax refund.
There you
I am
go.
curious, is like what's their beef with them?
I don't know.
I
I
mean,
mean, it
maybe-
depends on who you ask, I guess.
Well,
really.
it just seems like it has transcended like 8 presidential campaigns. It's like Iran sucks.
Listen, this
like
is I
since
think
Jimmy
what
Carter.
dude. I think what it is all places that are not in the United States are like, man, all those people over there are like Instagram models and podcast millionaires and YouTube moguls and stuff like
Do
this.
we seem like we suck.
No,
yeah, and they're
no.
like they're jealous. I think they're jealous because we can like do whatever the hell we want, and like we could just be like, hey, I'm gonna think of a way to make millions of dollars
You know,
out of doing this crazy
What's
weird
crazy
shit.
about that though is that the Islamic religion is the fastest growing religion right now, I believe.
Is it really?
Yeah, but
God.
if you like,
That's scary.
my cousin who she does an animal rescue. She's rescued animals from there. Like there's a lady in the military over there that will send injured animals to her because
Oh
they
my
don't.
God.
Did y'all have her on the?
We did
podcast?
have her on
Yeah,
the
I'd
podcast.
listen to that one. Yeah.
So
Greasy goat farm.
she said that some of the people over there, they don't see dogs like we do, and they will
No.
torture and kill them and stab them and shoot them, it's like it's a generational.
yeah, it's just
it's like a generational violence almost. Like they grow up very different than the way we
oh
do.
yeah. It is. Life just doesn't seem to have the same value there as it does
Mm-mm.
here. There's a lot of places, and I feel like maybe over time that's the way it's always been,
Oh yeah.
and it's just like, I mean, I definitely think this is the best it's ever been. Like
Oh,
when people
well,
like
if you
reminisce-
if you watch John Stossel or you listen to Steven Pinker, then you'll know that all that stuff on the news, all that negativity is just for ratings. Like most of the stuff that happens is actually pretty good. I mean, we heal people at a miraculous rate.
yeah,
I mean, people have robotic arms and legs. We're not. I mean, most people are generally good people.
yeah. There's just so many of us now.
I know. We're the light
Overcrowded.
overpowers the dark, right? And I don't think all people, in the Middle East are like that. And I'm sure that there's a lot of people in the Middle East who are glad that America is there.
Yeah, I guess it just depends on where you're at.
Well, perception controls behavior.
A lot
Yeah.
of people say it started with Honey Boo Boo.
What?
What?
I mean,
You never heard of
to
this?
be fair,
No.
You never heard of that conspiracy theory?
oh, kill them all. They have kill them.
Like they saw like people just saw Honey Boo Boo on TV somehow over in these other countries, and they were like, "That's the last straw. No more.
I mean,
We must kill the Americans because of Honey Boo Boo."
it's hard to argue that. It's just
I
like
think they've matured now, haven't they? A little bit.
who, Honey,
Honey
Boo
Boo
Boo?
Boo?
Honey Boo Boo, is she?
Or
Mama
Irene, or
June.
the people.
She
She lost a lot of weight.
she didn't lose. She had weight loss surgery.
Of course she did.
I mean,
They did. I think she was like on some kind of makeover show or something where they gave her weight loss surgery and they did it like they got rid of her extra skin and everything. But
all I can think about is just like how I brought that up when I was traveling.
Honey Boo Boo.
Yeah, I was just like, I mean, that's like we made Honey Boo Boo, and they're like, oh my god, you did make Honey Boo Boo.
yeah, because she
You
lives in
did.
Georgia.
Yeah, I was like, where I'm from, that's where Honey Boo Boo's from, and everybody was just like, no,
No, she's not. No,
I'm like,
you're
yeah.
Honey Boo Boo
She's
Man.
several hours from where you're from.
Yeah, that's
Fair.
true.
It's
Fair.
You're like,
different.
I live hours away from her though. Like, and they're like, oh,
Well,
dude.
you gotta look. You gotta look at regions. Each region of Georgia is a little
Yeah.
bit different.
That is
and
fair.
we, you know,
Yeah, every state, like literally, there's like a micro community in states within.
actually, that's actually really close to where my mom lives, though.
Uh-oh.
I dated a girl for a while that lived in Milledgeville. Milledgeville's a wild place.
It's a wacky.
Have you ever been to the mental hospital there?
We did go to the mental hospital. We were out at dinner one night, and the tornado alarm started sounding.
Is that the one?
Like
Is that
the sirens were blowing.
Is that the one that's like abandoned?
Yeah, it's abandoned now. Do they do? I think they might do.
Didn't they do a
tours,
horror
though.
movie in there or something?
So it is there is a prison complex for the mentally insane that is abandoned, but the mental hospital is semi-funded.
Some parts of it are still used, right?
So when I dated her, this has been many years ago now, but I would drive all the way down there from here. We'd
Yeah.
like swap weekends, and we're having dinner, and the alarms go off, and I'm like, "What are they doing? Like a test firing?" She goes, "Oh no." She goes, "At 6 o'clock, everyone's supposed to be back," and I'm like, "You
Huh?
back where?" She
Yeah,
goes,
what?
"The mental asylum, and if they're not back, then they sound the alarm to let the community know that somebody is roaming around at large that should not be out." Because they couldn't afford to house them. So basically, it would just turn into a place for them to sleep. And they were allowed out after like 7 a.m., but they had to be back by 7 p.m. And if they didn't come back, then they would sound the alarm.
Like, hey
And
guys,
it would go on a hunt.
just
And
letting
it's-
you know,
There's crazy people out.
There's
It's actually really
crazies.
creepy to drive by it at night when when it was all lit up and stuff, and you would see people in the windows, and
Well, she took me on like a loop through the compound.
Yeah.
And yeah, you see, it's so creepy.
it was
It's the
it's still a
creepiest place.
creepy place.
It is, but there was like police officers up there, and we got to hanging around too long, and they ended up like pulling. They didn't get out; they just pulled up behind us, and it was kind of like you just felt like, "Move along,
You
sir.
better leave.
You've been here long enough. Go
Yeah.
away."
You did
Me
your
too.
sightseeing.
Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, just made a loop around the whole place, and on our way out, he like followed us out,
Yeah,
and then
he's-
as soon as we left, he turned around and went right back.
he's
in.
like just making sure you don't have anybody in your car. Like,
I didn't. Yeah.
I mean, there's any number of
like,
things.
did
but
he
I
did you
felt
see
like it
someone
was-
get in your trunk? Come on, Joe. You know.
Yeah, I hope that didn't happen. He's still there.
Oh.
No, never checked.
Oh my gosh, man.
Yeah, there's I don't know. I don't guess they fund too many of those places now.
Nah.
No.
It doesn't seem like they do. When I was in Portland, there was a
I think-
lot of people just around bus stops that I was like,
I think they're doing
How
away
are they
with a lot
wa-
of that stuff.
Well, they defunded a lot of it back when Reagan was in office,
Yeah.
because they said there was a lot of abuse going on there, a lot of inhumane things going on.
that's how Geraldo Rivera got famous. He did that one on Staten Island or whatever it was. It was like, yeah, it was a mental institution that just like was horribly like neglectful and abusive like conditions.
Yeah, because who's gonna report them? The inmates.
Well, now most of them are just in regular prison.
Yeah.
So I mean,
Which
like
is-
they didn't really get a good trade off. Either way, they're
I feel so bad because they're still people, but it's just like
yeah, they're just a little wackadoo.
no,
mean,
not a little. There's
they-
some people out there that
There are a lot of wackadoos.
they need help, and they need somebody to make them take medication.
yeah.
Especially people with like super schizophrenia. Like I mean,
Oh yes,
the
schizophrenia.
stuff.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
That's talking to somebody, and then like all of a sudden there's someone else, but they're not someone else. They're just in their mind.
Is
There's
that
someone
one
else.
isn't that one something else? Like that's a multiple personality
I thought
disorder.
that's what schizophrenia was.
Mhm.
Like multiple, like someone will be like, "Hi, I'm Joan from the block," and
Are there
then
two
next they're
different-
like, "Hey, hey, y'all, I'm Jerry. My name's Jerry now. What's up?"
I actually don't know.
But they're not aware of each other.
I don't know if that's schizophrenia or
Maybe
if
I'm
it's
wrong.
a different.
Oh,
I'm not a doctor.
There's a
so I
bunch
do
of
I'm
not
not
know.
different.
either.
There's
Warning: I'm not a doctor.
think-
None of us are doctors.
No, so obviously.
All of us have degrees in online though.
That's right.
And online, I like how you said that. All of us have degrees on in online.
We have YouTube degrees. We've watched plenty of
Yes,
stuff on
I've
YouTube.
watched plenty of YouTube videos.
I surf Reddit.
There you
Yes.
go.
You're Reddit. I'm YouTube, and you're online.
Just online.
I'm just on everywhere.
Google.
She's
Google,
got a doctorate
Reddit.
in Google.
WebMD. Well, I did watch a video of a lady that had a multiple personality disorder. She was aware of her other personalities. but they would just change out. And one, like, she was an artist, and they were all artists, and they would all do different art when it was their turn to be in the body. And that was what was, and she had a daughter too. That was what was really weird. They took custody of her daughter for a little while, but then when she referred to herself as we.
Oh,
yeah.
So she was fully aware.
She was fully aware that there were different personalities that took over her body at different times.
You ever think some people might be faking that?
Oh, I'm sure.
I'm sure, but
what is that primal? Is it Primal Fear, Primal Instinct? It's a movie.
Is that the one with
I think it's Primal
Joan
Instinct.
Cusack? Not Joan Cusack. Yeah, Joan Cusack.
I don't
No,
know.
that's a.
I just remember Edward Norton is like this young kid that's been arrested, and he is basically faked his way. Like he committed this horrible murder or something like that, but faked his way. Like he had been abused this whole time, and like just conned the system into letting him out.
Hell yeah. I mean, that's not good that he did that, but
I can't remember how the movie ends, but I think that's essentially the gist of it. It's just like there's this one lawyer that'll come in the room, and all of a sudden he's this totally different person. He's just like constantly like, I was abused, and I'm so sad, and he's very soft spoken. And then when the other lawyer comes in, he's like, people have no idea who I am. It's like, oh my God.
what's wrong with this guy?
It's a really he does a really good job.
Look, we're pleading insanity.
Yeah. It's super believable.
Mm.
It's a creepy movie too. Edward
No,
Norton.
he's he's good, man.
I heard he was on the podcast, Joe Rogan's podcast. I know we keep bringing that up, but he was on it.
Oh yeah.
And he seems like a decent enough fellow, but I heard he's terrible to work with.
I heard that too.
Oh,
I heard that's
yeah.
why they didn't bring him back as the Hulk.
Yeah, I heard he ruined the first Hulk movie.
Yeah.
He was very.
He had some
demanding.
pretty high demand. Yeah,
Demanding.
it's like random stuff too, wasn't it?
Yeah, like
Mhm.
it's just those are people that kind of get out of touch with reality, I think.
That's funny you say random stuff. I was watching The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, and they were like, if you're big, like to be a big star, she was like, you have to ask. They were like, you have to ask for something random, and she's like, what? Yeah, no, you have to ask for something weird. And they're like, what? I don't need anything weird. No, you have to ask for something weird. And she was like, they walked into her. Spoiler alert, for Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. They walked into their hotel room because she was doing a tour, right?
Yeah.
And she was like, why are there like 100 yellow teddy bears in my hotel room? And she was like, I panicked. They asked me for if I had any demands, and I said, yeah, I need 100 yellow teddy bears in every hotel room we stay in.
She just panicked. And
Yeah,
said
like
it.
she was like, they said I had to have some kind of weird request, and that was the first thing I could think of. And she's just like, they're like laying, and there's just like teddy bears like piled up all in the room and shit. I was like, what the hell?
I can believe that.
That makes sense. Yeah, they're like, yeah, you're not an artist if you're not true artist if you don't have some kind of weird.
Those Ask Reddit threads when it asks questions
yeah.
like that, like one of them talked about like Katy Perry, what she needed in her cooler. She had like one of the little fridges.
Yeah.
And it's
Little
like,
mini
I
fridge.
need 2 Coke Zeros, 1 Sprite, 1 coconut water.
Yeah, it's their what's it called, Matt? The rider. So when you're like when we would go around places, sometimes they would be like, we need your rider. And what it is it's like a demand of things that you want.
Oh, okay.
Like as a musician, like when we go there, we need
A list of
need
demands.
peanuts. We need peanuts and lots of peanuts and fucking Coca-Cola or something like that.
Hey, peanuts and Coke is good.
You know what I mean? Like they would be like, oh, what they would ask, and it was basically a sheet of just crap you wanted.
Coffee and nice smelling soap.
Yeah,
That's
like,
about-
yeah,
Do
coffee,
we
yeah.
need all the other extra stuff?
Not really. Coffee is pretty. Yep. And I did actually. Speaking of soap, I got some really nice soap for Christmas. By the way,
See, like if I were a famous person, I would just be like, man,
what would you ask for if you were weird question time? What would you ask for if you were famous? And they said, "What's your one weird demand?"
I mean,
Quick, go.
Mr. Goodbar.
Just one.
Just one.
He's like, man, that's a good bar.
Just one of Mr. Goodbar.
Well, yeah, you go now, Megan. What would you ask for if you were famous? Go now.
A big party at the Claremont.
Oh, nice. Thought way outside the box.
And Matt, you go now. Go. What would you ask for? Go. 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 Go.
How many goes?
Go.
4 monsters.
4 monsters.
That's not weird, man.
I got a Mr. Goodbar.
I liked yours.
Why?
It was just
It was just one.
you
just one.
yeah, just one random good bar, one random Mr. Good Bar.
I don't know, man. Like I feel weird when people are like waiting on me hand and foot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if they're like, if you had to have any requests or what would you want, it would seriously just be like, hey man, like I don't know, like a Coke and a candy bar. Like that's like if anybody's coming over to the house, like friends or anybody, they're like, you need anything from the store? And I'm like, I don't know, Coke and a candy bar. I'll pay you when you get here.
Yeah.
I would say that same thing to them. They'd be like, no, this is on us. It'd be like, oh, thanks.
Yeah, just bring something to drink and a
So
bag
I can't
of
be
chips.
famous.
I
'cause
think
I couldn't just demand stuff of people ridiculously.
I'd have, if I was really famous and I just demanded the weirdest thing, I would demand a replica of the Golden Gate, a 1/5 replica of the Golden Gate Bridge made out of dill pickle lays.
What?
Man,
I think that's
hey,
what I'd
you've
do.
thought about this before.
I have.
I was
Yeah.
sitting over here like, could I go for like a bath bomb? Like just go full on bubble bath every night when I get back?
That's pretty good.
I've never had a bubble bath.
but like,
Well, not
but
since I
make
was a
up the
kid.
weirdest bubble bath like smell, flavor, type.
A Dr. Pepper bubble?
Yeah,
bath?
you like Dr. Pepper bubble. Like we don't have Dr. Well, make one.
Make the Dr. Pepper.
It best
bubble
be here
bath.
when I get back.
Yeah, it would be, yeah. I don't care if you ain't got no Dr. Pepper. You better go get
It's got to
some
be
Dr.
a
Pepper.
root beer float,
Root beer float.
flavored bath bomb. Also, I want vanilla ice cream in my bathtub.
And I want to
too.
be able to drink my bath water and it
No.
tastes like root beer. And they're like, what the fuck?
That
Dude,
sounds
if you were
horrible.
super famous though, like you could really blow people's mind. It's like when they came up to you, it's like, what's the thing you want? It's like, go grab whoever your best friend is and meet me back here afterwards. We're just gonna hang out. Like
That's what me and Matt were saying. Like, wouldn't it be sweet to just like, if that was
they get old.
what
after
they
a while,
did,
though.
they were just random, like every concert that like, we were talking about Tenacious D or whatever, when they turd with a turd.
When they
turd.
When they turd.
They went turd down there.
When they turned down there in
South
Brazil with Foo Fighters, how cool it would be like if you like had backstage passes and you're like, hey, I'm gonna go hang out with Jack Black and Dave Grohl from the Foo Fighters. Think about how cool that'd be.
Jack Black. Yeah, that would be awesome to hang out with all of them. David Grohl's so awesome.
I remember watching Jack Black's Jim Litsky Games YouTube channel. I don't know if you guys have watched it.
Did you watch his HBO show?
No, I did not.
Oh, wow.
Is it a comedy special or is it Tenacious
No,
D?
it's a Tenacious D series, like from the early 2000s.
Is it like a, what's that weird HBO, the Flight of the Conchords style type thing?
It is similar to that in nature.
Yeah.
It's
Okay,
like
I gotta watch
the
that.
episodes revolve around a few of their songs
Yeah.
that they put on their first album.
Yeah.
It gets stranger and stranger and stranger.
I don't know why people didn't like The Pick of Destiny because that was a great movie.
That was a crazy movie.
I liked it.
Speaking of,
I mean, but it wasn't like the greatest movie I've ever seen. It's just like it was a
no,
movie.
It was definitely
just
not
a
the
tribute.
greatest movie. It was what?
That was quick. It was just a tribute.
It was a tribute.
It wasn't the actual tribute, but it was a tribute.
It was a tribute to the greatest movie in the
It
world.
was a tribute to the greatest movie in the world.
Yeah.
But it was not the tribute. It didn't sound anything like
Didn't
that.
sound
at all.
anything like that at all. You gotta believe him.
Just got to believe him, man.
You bet you wish you were there, man.
I wish you. Oh my god. We used to listen to them all the time.
Dude, I remember the first time I heard Tenacious D. I don't remember what year it was though. It was their first album that came out, and I
Yeah,
was just
their
listening
very
to
first
them,
album.
and I was just like, "Who the hell is this?"
I have a buddy, Joe, who played guitar. I guess he still plays it.
Yeah.
But he played guitar at the time a lot. And he was like, man, I got some stuff for you to listen to. And the first one, he had me convinced that he was a guitarist for this band. Because he was like, me and some guys got together and we recorded this album. And
Yeah.
this is my favorite song. I want you to listen to it. He's like, I'm just playing guitar. And he puts it on.
Which
and
one? You remember which one it was?
It was Modest Mouse.
Really?
The band Modest Mouse.
Are you serious?
He knew that I'd have no idea who Modest
Yeah.
Mouse was.
Yeah,
like
oh,
I
yeah.
didn't at all. And so when he puts it on, I'm just like, Joe, is that you? He's like, yeah, man. I was like, you're amazing. I was like, you should like. I was like, y'all should like try to
Oh,
go somewhere.
That's hilarious.
He made me feel so dumb. But then the very next one he put on was Tenacious D. And I remember, I think it was like my 16th or 17th birthday. As a
Yeah.
birthday present, he bought me the HBO 2-season disc set of Tenacious D's show. and I forget the name of it, but it's weird.
I imagine with Jack Black that it is weird.
Jack Black and Kyle Gass are some strange dudes, but they're hilarious.
Although Jack Black was on the Yo Gabba Gabba, I remember.
Jack Black was on Yo Gabba Gabba.
Oh,
Yeah, he
he's
did an episode
really-
of Yo Gabba Gabba.
Oh, he did an episode. I thought you
He's-
meant like he was just on. it all
No,
the time.
they had him on an episode, and actually,
For a second, I thought Yo Gabba Gabba was like a hallucinogen or something for a second there, because you were like, he was on Yo Gabba Gabba, and I was
That's
like,
a kid
No, it's a
show.
oh,
kid's
it's a kid's show, right?
there they are.
Yeah.
Okay,
They,
yeah, right.
And the Shins played music for them one time.
The Shins.
Really?
Yeah, they have a song about bugs.
The only reason I know who Yo Gabba Gabba is because of the YouTube series Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared.
I don't know,
Dude, how do people
Come up with it.
come up with these cartoon shows? Okay, they're not
Jokes.
normal people.
I have a feeling.
all right, and
that
they're
it starts with two guys having breakfast talking about redneck Pokemon. I mean, it has to start much in that same way.